Yes, people, and welcome back to Spurs Kings TV with your boy Ashmatic, all the way down here, man. Listen, I've got a few people that are going to help me out tonight. Marlon's away on holiday, so I'm just going to be diving in deep, breaking it down, unpacking all that Spurs stuff, especially this window. Everyone wants to know what's going on. We've got 5 to 4 days left, and yeah, let's see what happens. Let's bring on some guests and a long lone returnee in Oren. How are you doing, my friend? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, just took the summer off.
Literally that,
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling. Look, let me just take a little break, take a holiday, and then come back when this window's closed. I'm literally in that kind of mood, bro. So
Yeah.
I'm with it. I'm
Just
with it,
all the
man.
noise. Yeah.
Fair enough, man. But yeah, I'm gonna get your thoughts on the window in a second. Also, long time no see, Eugene.
Big
How you
up,
doing,
Ash.
my friend?
Um, other than Spurs, I'm all right. Good to
You
be on. Good
healthy?
to talk to you
Mind you
guys.
all right?
Hanging in there, hanging in there,
you know.
hanging in there. I'm telling you, I'm not gonna lie. It's not been, the best,
It's not been the best. I hear it.
the best
And I'm
week.
also going to bring on another guest, long time as well. The
Yeah,
one
long time, man.
up top. The one, is that the new
How's it going?
channel,
How's it
bro?
going?
Is that
What's
the new
that?
channel? One
Yeah,
up
it's
top.
it was always called that, but it's just been a while, isn't it? So you probably forgot.
In that minute. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
real talk, man. Let me just bring you back up here anyway. But yeah, guys, listen, we did have a win on the weekend. So it's not all doom and gloom, man. And I guess what I want to ask, the first question I want to ask is, are you as a collective, are you all three on the Thomas train? Choo choo. Or is everyone getting carried away? I just want to know from my guest tonight. Is it too early to say? Because obviously we got, a couple games a week, or did that City convincing win convince you that this guy's he's gonna cook? And I'll start with Oren. Why not,
Mhm.
man? Let's start with Oren.
Um, of course, history has told people not to get too. It's City. You know what I mean? Like they normally win. Though in 3 games that I've seen it, in truth, it's not like I was gonna be. I think Thomas Frank's a great manager. He's a really good manager. He's technical, and I did think that if any manager was to come in after Angie, it would have to be someone like him because of
Mm,
his presence, how he talks, how he behaves, and what he's done in a short space of time is pretty much took the free, you can do what you like, express yourself, Angie's mentality, and go, right, that didn't work. So now you're going to listen to me, and I'm going to direct you. I'm going to tell you where to be, how to be, when to be, because that's what you need. You know, this, I think, like previous manager are like, right, guys, use your brain, use your initiative. I think in the modern day football players have to be told what to do, when to do it, almost like school kids. There's no longer free expressive. If you look at the great players, Messi,
mm,
Ronaldo, you wouldn't tell them what to do, but they're not as many of them. They have to. So I think watching Thomas Frank in the 3 games,
mm.
you saw discipline. You saw the players knew exactly what to do, how to do it, not too overcomplicated, and you're seeing the benefits. So if he can continue that, and the players can continue that, yeah, he's going to do. Yeah, I think he's going to do really well this season,
You
as he
saying
should. Yeah,
better than Angie, better than Angie.
you would have to. I would have to say yes. The reason
I
why
respect
is
it.
because of the technical. I think Angie's biggest problem or biggest fault was trusting the players to just play game. I will
Mm,
send you out there, lads. You decide what to do on the pitch. I want you to be
mm.
mini generals.
Right,
Eva
right.
Bissouma decided he's going to start fucking around. You know what I mean? Bendigo didn't know what to do.
Mm,
So now it's kind of like Frank has watched this and went, "Nah, you guys don't do that." That's why Eva Bissouma's not even playing. It's I'm going to show you what to do, when to do it, and I'm going to
mm,
almost baby you through the entire match. He has the energy to do it. Like watching him against Man City, he had his paper constantly screaming, shouting. I think it was 80
mm.
minute where Spence he's run up the field. He's like, get back. Whereas Angie would go, no, it's okay. Okay, mate. You stay there, guys will cover you. No, he was like, no, you get back. And there's a big difference, obviously.
Wait. Can I ask a question? And I'll get to you guys in a second. But just
Yeah,
staying with
yeah.
that Ange point, because big up Romero, or was it Romeo? Romeo. Big up Romeo in the chat there. Love
Mhm.
and manners and powers every time. Respect all opinions here on this channel. And this is why
Yeah.
we've got 3 or 4, fantastic minds here. But if Ange was to go to Forest, how do you feel like Spurs fans would feel about that? Do you understand? And do you think but like Forest versus Spurs, would that be an interesting battle? Like, how do you see that going? And like, what would your thoughts and feelings be towards that?
Angie will always have respect because of he won a trophy. Yes, I mean, last year I was defending Angie because he was the manager of Spurs, and I was like, as a Spurs fan, I'm always going to defend the manager. I'm not going to sleep, do my best to. But yeah, I think fans will always appreciate what he's done and how he's done it. And even Frank said this, and I said this in like a couple of forums on YouTube, and I got kind of criticized for it. I said, Frank, Angie laid the groundwork, and now Frank is building the house. And what I mean by that is, Angie, what was saying, I think Angie knew he was going to probably get sacked at the end of the season, but what he wanted to do was bring these players closer together. And that's what's helped Frank. He has players who know how to win the big games. They can be disciplined. And let's be honest, Spurs almost won the Super Cup. It was a penalty miss. But everyone thought PSG would blow them away. Of course, the excuses came, chain once a week or whatever, but it showed the mentality. And against Man City, it's like they learned. So I think that Angie will be respected because he won a trophy. And he did something that very few managers have done for Spurs. And the whole time, he didn't sleep the club, he didn't sleep players, he kept them together. And I think it was like at the end of the European Cup game when he's asked, I had a feeling that he was going to go, be sacked, because he says, even if I'm not here next season, what I've done is left these group of players with a winning mentality, and with a group of guys who know how to win and they have the self belief to do something now. So the next manager who's going to come in, they're going to profit. Archie Gray, Bergville, I mean, they started against Burnley, and you're like, right, fair, that's trust. Would they have done that if they hadn't played so many games last season? So what Angie's left is a legacy that can only be followed in a good way. Not talking about the Premiership and the 17th position and the way it's playing, but in hindsight, yes, because now fans can look and say what Frank is doing is far better than what Angie's doing. So even that, his bad tactics is now showing how good Frank is.
Cool. I want to bring up. I'm gonna talk to the one up top, Jacob. Big up. Yeah, man. Same kind of question to you, bro. Like, obviously, we've got a new gaffer in town. Are you rating him, or you're saying you need more time on him, or do you think everyone's jumping on the Frank train too quickly? Like, what's going on? What's your thoughts?
With me, I'm always balanced. Obviously, when we beat Man City 2-0, when I was with my son in the living room, I was going bonkers. Like the neighbour was even saying, "Oh, what was going on next door?" All of that. Just because you generally think that
Yeah.
even though we do a number on City, sometimes you're blindsided by what they did at Wolves. Now, when I watched the Wolves game, and even though they won 4-0, I remember saying to my son, like, yeah, like I don't know if that was Man City playing well or Wolves playing badly, because Wolves had a few chances in that game. So then the way we just boxed them off the park, I was like, when I watched Man City, I thought if someone don't respect them, they're going to get battered, and that's what was happening last season. They haven't addressed it. So part of me wants to. I'm on the Thomas Frank train for sure, because we're not going to go and lose 20 odd games this season. I knew that from the beginning, but that's the reason why we've appointed him and Ange lost his job. But I'm not going to get carried away, because I remember slightly getting carried away when we had Ange
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we won 10 games and all of that stuff. But
Yeah. We're top of
again,
the league.
even though I started getting carried away, I'm one of them people that looks into football properly. So it's one of them ones I'm thinking, hold up, we won 10 games on the spin, we're top. We've actually played. So I remember we played like Luton and we beat them 1-0 with 10 men. We played Sheffield United. We beat Liverpool with that dodgy VAR decisions, all of that stuff. So I was thinking, like, when we play the big boys, if we win, I can start getting carried away. And then we got thumped up by Chelsea. So I learned from that never to get carried away. And then obviously the following season, we weren't far off relegation, even though we won the Europa League. So for me, I've gone into this season and I've said to myself, whoever the manager is, I'm going to be relaxed because I've just had to wait 17 years for Tottenham to win a trophy. So now we've
Mm,
won one.
mm,
I'm speaking to all my friends as for Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, Man United, and I'm like, even if we finish 17th again, you better win a cup, innit? So, so it's one of those. But going back to Thomas Frank, um, yeah, I think he's the right guy. Like you say, it's early doors but what he has shown in early doors has made me think very quickly that we can do something. The only problem is every Spurs fan, we've seen them have their honeymoon period. No, literally, I said
mm.
it as soon as it come up at the bottom. I said the same thing. I literally said I was just thinking the same thing. So
Snap.
it's like he's going to have his honeymoon period. So he's going to get to the point where he comes in. He can do no
Mm,
wrong. He can win a few games, PSG, Man City, all of that. But it's going to get to the point in typical Spurs fashion.
mm,
I pray it don't happen. I touch wood. But imagine Van der Ven gets injured, all of a sudden Ben Davies comes in. That's when Thomas Frank. That's when you're going to see the real medicine. That's when you're going to
mm,
see like, all right, what are you going to do when Ben Davies is needed for 3 games? What are you going to do if Kudos um, has a minor strain? Because
of course.
he's the main reason why we're carrying threat. If we played Man
That,
City and it was Brennan Johnson and Odebert, might have
mm,
won the game, but Kudos was bopping people off the park. I don't think Odebert does that. Brennan Johnson, yeah, waiting for the
mm.
opportunity. There's only Richarlison that would have been bullying them really, and then that would have put a lot more pressure on the midfield. So you got players like Kudos that are carrying us and taking the pressure off the midfield. If he comes out, who's doing that? And it doesn't look like we're doing any business. So Thomas Frank and Spurs have effectively got a hope that we go into this season playing Champions League games, playing domestic cups, and everybody's up to scratch. And I think that Thomas Frank is a good manager because he must know Daniel Levy. So if he knows Daniel Levy and knows that we ain't going to get much money, this is the reason, like Orin said, he's playing Archie Gray's and the Bergval's early doors because that's something Ange didn't do. And then when we got 17 injuries, all of these kids are getting chucked in and everyone's wondering why we're 17th in the league. So Thomas Frank knows what he's doing. He's giving me Poch vibes because Poch knew what he had. You give him a Clinton, enjoy your work with it.
I hear it, man. All right, Eugene, what's going on, man? Listen, what do
Yeah.
you think? Do you agree with what's being said? Because I felt like Thomas Frank did well against your so-called top six. You know what I'm saying? Your Man Cities, he upset them. Liverpool's, he upset them. Arsenal's, the Chelsea's. No one expected him to win. He's coming away with 3 points or a point. But it's against the middos. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where he was kind of dropping points, whatnot. Do you feel that that's where he's going to earn his bread and butter now at this big club where the pressure's slightly different? The pressure's on them. Fans got big expectations, of course. Do you think that's where coming into Bournemouth is looking slightly ahead? Is that going to be an issue for him?
Look, I'm gonna admit I didn't want Frank initially. I wanted Ange to stay after the win, and if not, I wanted a proven manager like Glasner. I knew that Frank was a good coach,
Mm,
but I felt like bringing him in would be a signal by the board that it's going to be a project, right? That they're not going to they're not going to bring in top players. They're going to want Frank or somebody like him to coach
yeah,
up kids.
yeah.
And unfortunately, it's coming to fruition, maybe. So that was my fear. Obviously, he's a good coach, but after the first 3 games,
Mm,
I can tell how good of a coach he is, how adaptable he is, right? We've seen, back 3 or back 5 against PSG, then
mm,
man marking against City. And
mm,
I just remember what stood out to me the most was under Ange when we pressed. I remember Solanke pressing, looking
mm,
around, and nobody else was. Son was somewhere else. Johnson wasn't pressing.
mm.
Madison doesn't press. And against City, we were so organized. We were hunting in packs, right?
Right.
It just made sense to me. And to
Hmm.
me, I'm like, oh wow, you know what? Like it's a big difference how structured we are,
Yeah,
how much energy the team has,
yeah.
right? Like it just makes sense. It's simple football, like without any pep craziness. It just
Mm,
makes sense. And it feels like Frank can look at our opponent and craft a game plan specifically to them, something that Enge didn't do until the very end, right? Which is
mm,
great for me. So obviously, he's a great coach. To your question, though, so it's a two-part question for me. Is he a good coach? Is he a good fit for us? Yes. Will he
Mhm.
be successful? I doubt
Oh,
it, given how we
oh.
treat all our managers. Again, that's why I'm so down right
So,
now, and
so
that's why. Sorry.
I was going to ask, what does that look like to you? What is success? Because I feel like every fan has a different expectation in terms of what they expect for this season and then like long term as well. So you got your short term kind of what you expect, like where you expect us to finish, and then long term. And I think maybe that's the reason why maybe yourself was a bit disappointed with the Frank kind of appointment because you're like long term, is he the guy to get us where we need to? But then also short term, you're like, yeah, he's good for now. He's like what we need, but are we lacking ambition by having a coach like him? But yeah, just to ask that question again, like what is your expectation?
I mean, the word ambition to me, like, I'm
It's
a
vague.
sucker for a plan. I want to see a
Mhm.
plan.
Right.
I want to see a plan that's communicated that makes sense. So look, if they hire Andrew Frank or whoever and say we have a 5-year plan,
Yeah.
we're gonna buy the kids, we're gonna coach them up, and in 5 years
Mm.
we're gonna compete. I'm like, cool. That's my expectations. It makes sense to me because sometimes
Right.
that's how like we're not City, we're not
Mm.
Chelsea. That's how we're
Mm.
gonna
That's
do it.
different.
If you
Hmm.
come out and
Hmm.
say we want to challenge for the league and for Champions League, cool. I see it.
Yeah.
But now you got to act accordingly, right? So for me, success is I want to see a plan and I want us to improve. Like the criticism of Ange was that we peaked early. Obviously, there are injuries and this and that, right? But I
Mm.
want to see constant improvement. I want to see us be better in 6 months than we are right now, right? As long as we're improving. So I'm not going to say I want to finish top five, top six. I want to finish a trophy, right? Because like top five for me doesn't matter. Top six doesn't matter. I want to win something. But for me,
What's
a
that in?
plan.
What season is that landing when you want to win something? What season is that?
I mean, it's a tough question. Like, again, if we don't win anything this season or next season, but I see that we're building towards something, like in
Yeah.
Poch era, right? Under Poch, we didn't win anything, but the first couple of seasons, we obviously saw, hey, we can get somewhere. And I'm all aboard on that train. I want to see a plan and a progression towards
Hmm.
something. Now, we can definitely win a trophy like FA Cup or League Cup, cool. My issue is and why I was so angry after City. I was supposed to be happy and I was, but I was so angry. I'm like, this is the coach who can do something.
Mm.
Just back him, right? Like, we cannot compete on four fronts with the squad that we have. And given what I've seen from him, I'm like, he is a great fit for us. Just give him some players. And if you do, we can do something, whether it's FA Cup, League Cup, or whatever. But the way we're moving, and I know it's a different topic, but last week was my lowest point as a Spurs fan,
Mm.
just given where like I was depressed. I mean, like I was down. It was
All
bad.
So, all
So
right, let me ask you a better question then, because maybe my question wasn't good enough. What is the minimum you expect from a Thomas Frank?
given where the squad is right now,
Yeah,
assuming
yeah.
no more signings, I expect eighth. If we bring in a left winger and a 10, then I would expect fifth, just given that Villa is dropping off and Newcastle is dropping off. Given where we are right now, probably eighth or ninth, just because where our
Mm.
depth is
It's not
shocking,
there.
as you saw in the PSG
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Of course, one injury to like a Paulinho or
Oh,
Kudus is
we're
like
done.
Jacob was saying, or a Van der Ven or a Romero. Yeah, and it's Curtis. But I'm gonna bring Oren in real quick, and then after this, we can all just chime in whenever. But I just wanted to ask. Um, do you like trust the kids now? Because obviously, what Eugene was saying, he was like, this is more of a project kind of manager. He's been there to coach and develop players. And so, do we look at the kids that we actually have right now and hope that they, you know, fruition better? Or do we go outside and buy those proven players? Like, what do you think? What is the best route?
It's both. It's not just one or the other. Like I understand, Eugene. Like, and you're not the only one. I saw this all over Instagram. Like the hurt about Eze and not getting him, and I was like, right. but Spurs tried. It was agreed. Arsenal comes in, steals the show. Morgan Gibbs White. Spurs tried. Nottingham Forest blocked them. Set illegal action against both of them, forcing them to sign a contract. So in a weird, messed up way, the one time Spurs actually went for a player and did it right, the clubs are the ones who said no to both of them. Marlon, if he was on, like me and Marlon was texting back and forth, and he said like the Crystal Palace chairman doesn't like Daniel Levy, and apparently Daniel Levy. So I was reading the reports, and it was kind of like Spurs went, yes. Crystal Palace went, yes, he's yours. Give us 30 million up front so we can go and get a replacement.
Right.
And Spurs went, okay, we'll do that for you. And then all of a sudden, what happened. And I can understand the frustration of Daniel Levy, because it's like, imagine if you're going to buy something, you agree a price, and then the seller changes it, and then changes it, and then changes it. You're like, and then Eze apparently called Arteta and he wanted to go. So a whole mixture of things happened that was outside of Spurs' control. Now Spurs are scrambling, trying to get players. In any circumstances, one injury can dethrone a club, no matter how good that club is. Perfect example, Man City. Rodri, one injury. Yes, Kevin De Bruyne and all picked up others. So I think that every manager that gets hired by a club is a project manager. He wants to be there for 3-4 years. He wants to build a foundation. He wants to install. He understands that the youth is going to be an important case of the development of the club. And Frank is trusted at Brentford. And the thing is with Frank is that what he did at Brentford was pretty much had his hands tied as such. He didn't have... So he's going to go to Spurs. He has a group of... Brentford didn't have a World Cup winning captain in their club. Didn't have Mickey van de Ven. If you look at the players that Spurs already have, and the only reason Spurs are pushing so hard to get an attacking number 10 is because Maddison and Kulusevski are both out. But if they were in the team or fit, would we be saying the same thing? So the way, I think it's both. I think last season fans were screaming, it's like, just play the kids. What's the point of buying them in if you're not going to trust them? So Frank will play them. And I do think it's going to work brilliantly because, and I don't want to go on and on here, the one thing that I was impressed by Frank was the style that's been played. And we alluded to it. Yes, Spurs were pressing City in packs, but it wasn't continuously 90 minutes. Slot brought this philosophy in. And I spoke to a guy who was a former kind of amateur coach. So basically, how football is played now is not pressing 100 miles per hour. Like Gangnam press, like Klopp had. You press, you press, you press. It's not anymore. Basically, you press in moments, you sit back in moments, you play direct in moments, and you play short in moments. You control your energy and you control your game. And if you can remember the match, when City beat the first press, Spurs didn't all converge into one player. They all got back into position, conserved their energy. And when they had to sit deep, they sat deep. When they had to attack, they attacked. I think, and you have to remember that Frank is also capable of playing 3 at the back, a 3-5-2. That's what's going to be the key. He can play 2 different formation. And in a messed up way, Spurs does have players who can play the 3-5-2. Spence is a right wing back. Perro is a right wing back. Odogi's a left wing back. Spence is also a left wing back. So now you have, yes, if Mickey van de Ven gets injured, you panic. But Frank will go, we'll just play 3 at the back. Because you've got Donzo there and Romero. And, Davies or Roddy Jackson when he comes back. But I think Frank's going to look at the team and he's not going to be worried about what players he doesn't have and focus on what players he does have and work with those players. And that's going to be the key to managing their minutes, managing their time. And don't be surprised against Bournemouth if, say, Paulinho doesn't start and Gray starts.
Anyone can come in, by the way. This is a
you can all come in. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I thought it was just
made a lot of points there. He's talking about Eze.
Sorry.
He's gone from Eze saying, we tried, and by the sounds of it, if the window was shut, he's like, at least the club tried. Then he's also talked about the young players. Look, Eugene, I see you shaking your head.
I don't want to
sorry. Bissouma is meant to be leaving now as well. Just broke that he's going to go to Galatasaray.
Galatasaray, yeah.
So sorry. All right, but I will save that question for later. But yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
guys, Jacob,
Yeah.
Eugene, anyone jump in?
Yeah. There we go.
Which part are we talking about? If we're going to talk, we're still talking about Thomas Frank. If we're doing that, I think one thing I was thinking about now is the one thing that would worry me. It's not just about Thomas Frank. It's about the personnel that we've got. I'm more worried about when we play the Burnleys and the Fulhams and like Bournemouth at home than when we play the bigger teams away, because I think Thomas Frank is used to being working with Brentford and being the underdog. So we've seen him come to us and get victories. We've seen him go to Man City and win there, and it's been an underdog mentality. So I think he likes that. It's just when I look at when we played Burnley, even though we won 3-0, we looked less comfortable at Burnley at home than we did against Man City away. So that's where I'm concerned, because you're going to get more Burnleys and Bournemouths and West Hams and Wolverhamptons than you are the Man Cities, the PSGs. You know, obviously, if we get to the latter stages of the Champions League, then it's different. But yeah, I think like again, what Orin said about missing out on Eze.
Hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, I was annoyed for about an hour or two because I thought Arsenal were the ones who took him off. But after like a little while, I thought, if I'm honest, I didn't think we was going to get him. I was checking Sky Sports thinking I was going to see in big yellow lines that he's staying at Palace. I wasn't expecting him to go to Arsenal or anywhere else. But what my issue is, it's not about getting Eze. It's like what we're going to do next. Because let's say everyone was talking about Eze and getting Savinho, right? I was saying it to my friend who supports Tottenham. I said, right, if I come to you and said you've got two options, yeah, as the manager of Tottenham, you can either have Eze and Savinho as a package, or you could have Xavi Simons and Semenyo. Which one would you go for? And he sat there, and obviously because he feels that Eze is the better player out of a lot of them. I get that, but we both agreed that Savinho is the fourth best out of them two. So if I was honest, I'd rather go with the second and the third than the first and the fourth, right? So if we got them two, it's the same amount of money. So my thing is, we've made all these bids, and everyone's going, yeah, it's not Daniel Levy's fault. But if you're saying that you've got the money, then you really want to spend it, what's the next move then?
So you're more like, what's plan B? What's plan C? Move on to the next option. Like,
Yeah,
why are
like if you go
we?
and get me some, so you go and get me Semenyo, and you go and get me Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons is someone who can create. Semenyo has already proved at Anfield that you give that guy the ball, he can score goals and he's got power. He's like another Kudos. So if you've got Kudos come out and he's injured, but Semenyo comes in to replace him,
The
I'm not
only
bothered.
thing is, sorry to cut you. The only thing is, Semenyo signed a new contract, new deal, and when Levy went over there, they were quoting 70 million straight off the back. And then with Xavi Simons, the only thing about him as well is he's screaming Chelsea. He wants Chelsea. He wants Chelsea. He's waiting out for Chelsea. I'm not saying it's off the cards, but then now you've got another player like Eze that are saying like he wants Arsenal, but then the club are still going for him. Like, Eugene, I'll come to you as well. Like, do you think it's a risk that we play the waiting game? Because obviously we can do that. Like, we could wait it out and try and, because Chelsea might not be able to move that many players on, and therefore they're not able to get a Xavi Simons, and then Spurs make it that opportunist signing. Do you think it's the right move to make, or do you think Spurs just need to act quickly, and that's been the problem with Levy moving a little bit too slow in negotiations?
Let's spice this up a little bit. Orin, I love you, but I could not disagree more. And
Of course. That's the whole point.
to your question, Ash,
So we're
I think I think it's unacceptable, right? We backed into Champions League. We're competing on all fronts, right? So to Orin's original point, look, in a single game we can beat anybody, right? If we're all fit, if players are fit, we can beat any team. That's not the issue. The issue is we'll be playing 2 games a week. The issue is we know for a fact Romero and Van der Ven will not stay fit the whole season. They never have. Romero has a chronic knee issue or like a calf issue, and Van der Ven, we know his hamstrings. Richarlison will not stay fit, right? Given our history, we know for a fact that's not going to happen. So we all saw against PSG what happened when Frank made the subs. The difference between, or the drop from Polina to Archie Gray is massive, right? Like the drop off from Romero Van der Ven to Ben Davis is massive. So 2 games a week, Frank will need to rotate, and our depth is terrible. The youngsters are not ready. To your point, Ash,
mm,
like we cannot walk and chew gum at the same time, which drives me crazy. We wasted 3 weeks on Gibbs White. We wasted 2 weeks on Eze. Any club worth its soul with a good DOF, they have option A, B, C, and D. Forest made 5 deals. They signed 5 players in a span of a week. I do not understand why we couldn't negotiate with Gibbs White and also talk to, 2, 3 more players. With the Eze, he wanted Arsenal, yes. But before the injury, Arsenal wasn't going for him. As a club, we knew it. Any big club would say, Arsenal, or not Arsenal, Palace, how much do you want? 68 million? Here's the money. You have 3 days to say yes or no, right?
Mm.
And we
Set
had
deadlines.
2 week span where if the money was there, as they agreed to terms with us. All the
Mm.
reports said that Palace accepted our offer on the same day that Arsenal made their offer. So we were haggling for 2 weeks. We should have
Mhm.
said, here's all the money, forget the payment terms, this or that. We want to know the answer tomorrow. There is no excuse for Palace to say as he's going to play in that cup game
Mm.
when he didn't play for Arsenal. There is no excuse for that. So yes, as he wanted Arsenal, but given our needs, we could have gotten him if we wouldn't be haggling for extra 1 or 2 million. That's why it hurts so much. And when it's Gibbs White, when it's a pattern this season or year over year over year where we're making the same mistakes, we see the same issues. That's why I'm so upset. Because
Do you think it's
again, there
purposeful though?
was that
Do you think Daniel Levy does it on purpose? Sorry to cut you up, but I think he
on
does it on
purpose.
purpose because, like you just said, it's like if these Gibbs White things, yeah, were like this summer transfer window was like, oh, you know what, this doesn't normally happen. This has been happening since Martin Yole.
Yeah,
So it's one of the ones, like for instance, the analogy I used in one of my videos here was like, imagine if you've got partners, let's say, and your girlfriend cheats on you and you
Mm.
get to the point you're thinking, oh, why did you cheat on me? And she tells you that you weren't there for me or you're working too much or something like that, and she says something that makes you understand. You'd be like, all right, cool, no worries. You go and do a bit of counselling, a bit of therapy, cool. But then 3 weeks later, one of your boys rings you and goes, hey, are you still with that girl? Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure I just seen her in the restaurant with another man. You're like, no, 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 we sorted things out. And then you see her in
Mm.
the restaurant, your friend takes a picture, lo and behold, there's your girl with a flower in her hand kissing another man. So it gets to the point you ask her the question again, why are you cheating on me? So you speak, you speak, but then you
Owen,
go, all right,
why the cheating?
you
Why?
forgive her again, you forgive her, right? But this time you go, I'm going to
Mm.
be a little bit cautious on this. Now, if she does it a
Mm.
third time, are you going to keep forgiving her? Or after a little while, you're going to really think, hold up, this is a bit of a pattern. This is a bit of a pattern. You keep doing it, so dead. Like I already know you're promiscuous. So if that girl's doing that 3 times, Daniel Levy's been doing this since I was 20. I'm 40 now.
you
Jeez.
know what this is,
Hey.
and I'm stealing it. So let me just
Aaron,
one.
don't let them talk about your guy like this, man.
Do you know what this is? And I'm stealing it from Sean Butler, but it made sense to me. So when Levy bought the club, or when Inik bought the club, right?
Mm.
Levy wasn't rich, right? He invested what, 25 mil or something? Like it was a small amount, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So he's not like, the Chelsea owner, other owners who deal with hundreds of millions. So for them, 10 million, 20 million is nothing. Levy, for him, given his mindset, 1 million is a lot of money. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
he hasn't evolved from the old days. So I think he's reached his ceiling. And also, since he was driving a hard bargain with everybody, he just doesn't have any relationships. The only team that we're good with is Byron, and that's because we gave him our best player and they give us Tell. That's it, right? Everybody else, they don't want to deal with Levy, and Levy's haggling over 500 grand, over a million, because he wants to win every deal. But when these top players are on the line, you cannot do it. If you want a player, you have to put the money down. If you want Eze and you know that Arsenal is waiting, you got to put the money down. You cannot haggle over a million every single time.
Mm.
So his mindset, is not right for us
Oh,
right now at
Owen,
this point.
I want to hear Owen's take on this one. So these guys are saying that
Oh, I know what they're saying.
Yeah, go on.
You know, they've been saying it for like last 10 years. I came across. I've sent Marlon the message. If Marlon, if you're listening to this, send Ash the link to the YouTube channel. I came across this channel called The Long Play,
Okay.
and there's this one called Football Transfers: The Money, the Agents, and the Things You Don't See.
Right.
And basically, what it does, it breaks down how transfers actually happen, not what we think happens. So, the Eugene, the narrative is that you want Eze, he goes in a briefcase with 68 million, say, here, give me the player. Doesn't work like that. No transfer works like that. I completely understand the frustration, and it's interesting that you both said Morgan Gibbs White. Spurs went. And Alistair Goal explained this as well. If you ever watch Alistair Goal, he's the only journalist I trust. He explained this. So Spurs called Nottingham Forest and said, the release clause is 60 million. We're going to offer you that. We're letting you know now before we make it public. That's what they went ahead and did. If you can recall, Morgan Gibbs White was on the brink of coming to Tottenham Hotspur for a medical. It was completely out of the blue. Spurs had just signed Kudus. We did not expect Morgan Gibbs White. When it came out, we're like, what? Where did this come from? Nottingham Forest said no. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to block the transfer. Alistair Goal then said, and he has a reliable source, he said, Spurs then rang Crystal Palace and said, we're going to give you 65 million then. I think what Spurs wanted to do is like 60 million, wait for a counter offer and go 65 million. Nottingham Forest went, or the chairman went, no, it's illegal. If you make contact with Spurs, we're going to legal threat, and vice versa. Spurs weren't waiting for anyone. They couldn't. Morgan Gibbs White could not speak to Tottenham Hotspur, and Tottenham Hotspur could not speak to Morgan Gibbs White. Then Morgan Gibbs White signs a contract. Speaking with Marlon, he said the reason why that happened was because Morgan Gibbs White's partner is pregnant, and he didn't want to put her through that stress of what was going to cause legal battles, not playing. So he signs a new contract. With the Eze one, as far as I'm concerned, in June, Arsenal made a bid for him. He wanted to go to Arsenal. He said this in June. Arsenal then stalled the deal because I think they wanted a new kid to prosper or something. So then Eze said, right, what's the next option? Spurs happened to be the next option. Watching the whole transfer thing, what Spurs were doing and bidding is hustle. Everyone does it. It's just we don't pay attention to other clubs doing it. We just pay attention to this club because we support this club. But as far as I'm concerned, Crystal Palace agreed to the deal and asked Spurs to say, can you give us 30 million up front? And I do recommend you watch, it's called The Long Play, because he explains how it's installments and how it's done. So basically Spurs was going to give Crystal Palace 30 million up front and then the rest in installments. That would give Crystal Palace a replacement. Crystal Palace wanted a replacement. Then Havertz gets injured. And what Arsenal did was reactivated the deal. They're ready. Eze wanted to go to Arsenal. There was no denying that. He wanted to go. So I think that when I heard that he wasn't going to go to Spurs and going to go to Arsenal, I was like, all right, that's the player. You cannot force a player to want to come. And even if Spurs had bid that 70 million and got him in, you would have still been thinking, I mean, Harry Kane wore a shirt when he was 5 years old for Arsenal. And he's forever, he's always a gunner, once a gunner. What would have been Eze like? And then Frank came out and said, we only want players that want to come to the club. We're not going to bid for...
He's got to say that,
no, but it's but it's true. Why would you want a player who wanted to go to Arsenal? And the reason he didn't is because Arsenal didn't want to buy him, so he's going to go to Spurs.
So if you look at William, for instance, remember William? He wanted to go to Tottenham and went to Chelsea. That ended up all right.
No, he didn't want it because
Darren Band, Arsenal fan.
The way I look at this is if a player wants to join Spurs, Pero is a perfect example. Remember the deal with Pero? Brian Leverkusen or Sporting Lisbon? It was signed, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Pero's at the airport waiting, and then Sporting Lisbon calls Daniel Levy up and says, we want more money. And Pedro says, no, that's not going to happen. I'm already at the airport. I'm leaving. He wanted to come to Spurs. He forced it. If Morgan Gibbs White really wanted to force a move, he would have forced it. Player power does exist. So I think if Eze wanted to come to Spurs, and in good faith, he would have said, listen, Arsenal, I do want to come to you, but you messed me around. You weren't going to buy me, and you just buy me because Hazard gets injured. No, Spurs are showing interest in me. They've dedicated to me. I'm going to go with big Spurs. It was up to the player.
But Oren, the issue is, look, if
Oh,
you
go
look
on,
at the
go on.
oh,
No,
sorry.
go on, you
If
speak.
you look
Sorry,
at
go
the
on, you
Kudus
speak.
deal, right? The Kudus deal, it was done within span of days, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So no, but exactly. So that's why when we say, oh, they were negotiating deals take a long time. No, they don't, right? If you want a player, again, we knew that Arsenal
Yeah, I
wanted
do.
Eze. So if there's an opportunity, if there's a chance, there is why talk about the payment structure, this and that. It was all clear for a year.
Right, but,
Put the
yes, but
money down and
what I'm
take him.
explaining is that there was no other clubs in for Kudus. There was another club in for Eze already,
But
and it
not
wasn't any
for
other
2
club. It
weeks,
was
though.
Arsenal. There wasn't
But
for
not for
Kudus.
2 weeks, though. That's the thing, right?
No, but
for
they
2 weeks.
did. The reason why that deal was done is because Spurs were dealing with West Ham, who needed the money, and let's sell. Crystal Palace didn't want to sell Eze. They didn't want to sell him. They wanted to keep him. There was no point. And even Morgan Gibbs-White, I would understand the frustration if Morgan Gibbs-White was up for sale or Eze was up for sale, but they weren't. 2 years left on the contract.
Right, as it was, there was a release clause that we could have activated any time within the last couple of years.
Yes, you could have activated, but it wasn't activated. And it's like, it was only this year it was meant to be activated. It was like 68 million or something. And both past, Arsenal didn't activate it.
No,
Arsenal
last year it was
waited till
available.
afterwards.
It was available last year as well. It was last
Yeah,
year.
last year. So and
Last year,
ended up
again, though,
going for the same price.
last year, Eze didn't really shine. A lot of, like, no one bid for Eze last year, not only just Spurs. So basically, I think the most important thing that Spurs have learned, especially after the Ndembele situation, spending 60 million on a player that didn't work out. Richarlison, let's not forget Richarlison. Yes, he's having an okay season so far, but we all know his form drops when he wasn't get injured. He was one season away from being a flop. Spurs are like, I would rather Spurs get a player in that's going to come in like a Kudus and affect the team instantly, instead of
that's not going to happen, Oren. Top players, they don't want to go.
the thing, though.
Top players want to go to bigger teams. That's the thing. So
Right,
if
exactly.
top players available, we got to go all in for him. If Eze is available, we got to get him because top players like him.
That's what I'm trying to say. Spurs did go in for him, and then Arsenal reactivated the deal.
Eze last season scored more goals and more assists last season than he did that season that you're talking about. So the season just gone, he had 8 goals and 8 assists.
Yeah.
The season before, when the release clause was there and no one was bidding for him, he actually scored 11 goals. So he actually scored more. He actually performed better.
Yeah.
So that, I think what Eugene's trying to say is the time when we had a clear run at him and there was no one involved, that release clause still existed, and Spurs could have got that player done and dusted and could have got it done early. And then equally, there was a window of opportunity because Spurs did know, as you said, that yes, he did want Arsenal, but Arsenal obviously never had the injury to Kai Havertz. And so knowing that he wants Arsenal, like knowing if Arsenal come back into the picture, Spurs would have to act quickly, and they've only got a certain amount of time to get that deal done. And regardless of that, I think what Eugene and others are saying is, you're talking about the structure of the payments. Spurs were longing it out, dragging that situation out. It's just the speed of the speed of the deal is what kind of slowed it down. And knowing that this club could pounce at any time, you'd think there'd be a lot more urgency to get the deal wrapped up. But they kind of left that door open. And then all of a sudden, obviously, Arsenal.
Yeah, because it could have been anybody. Do you know what I mean? Because even if it weren't Arsenal, imagine if there was somebody else. Man City could have got an injury, and they might have gone, all right, then we'll have Eze. So this is what Daniel Levy does all the time. So that's what I say about patterns in life. It doesn't matter what you do. Yeah, if something happens 2, 3, 4 times, it's a pattern, and a pattern is.
That's the thing, though. Like it's about how you structure the deal. It's about getting the best deal. That's what it's about. That's what this club has always been on. And but it's about getting the best deal, not just flinging money and then hope. Because right. So if Spurs go ahead and pay 70 million for Savinho or 75 million, already the narrative is set. That's overpaying for a player. But yet
we waited so long until the very end, right? But if we would do business early, the prices are lower.
Yes, Spurs want to do business early, but you have to forget. You keep forgetting that there's two people in the room. negotiating this. And so therefore, if Crystal Palace is going to mess, like, again, Marlon stated, I'm not how accurate this, but the chairman doesn't like Daniel Levy. And as far as I'm concerned, Crystal Palace agreed in principle, that they were going to sell him. And then Arsenal came back in. So it's not like Crystal Palace didn't agree to it. I like I said, I get the frustration. I do. But for me, it's like, when I look at Eze, I'm like, look, if you want to go to Arsenal, go to Arsenal. Let's move on and get someone else who's going to come in. No, I'm not. The way I look at it is, I'm a Spurs fan. I don't give
of course.
Like, I'm a Spurs fan. I want players.
Equation.
Yeah, it's becoming Eze show all of a sudden.
Eze's no, because what we would do is say like, oh, he was what at Arsenal. So let's talk about other players that we were linked with that could have potentially happened, but then got away. So the first one I remember,
is sorry to cut you off. Gibbs White was one, that I'm pretty much certain that was going to happen, and he got kidnapped basically because Gibbs White's dad goes to the same barber as me and my son. So it got to the point where I went in the barber's the day it was all happening, and the barber that cuts his hair was like, "Oh, you got a good sign in there." Gibbs White's dad's having a look already at houses down in London. He was in here yesterday telling me about it. And then like I got by the time I've got home after Nando's, we're being told that it's not happening. So it's a bit weird. My barber, I've known him for time, man. Yeah, in Wolves, he wouldn't lie. So it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird how his dad was looking for houses in London.
Yeah, exactly.
All of a sudden it's not happening. So that's not for me. That one isn't a Levy fault in a way. I think, if I'm honest, the agent from Gibbs White has played a blind today. He's gone to Tottenham and said, "Look, we got a little thing here, so it's a win-win for Gibbs White. He either gets a new contract or he goes to Tottenham."
I'm saying let's move away from even Gibbs White. Let's move away from both of those, right? Let's look at other examples in this window where, like the first one for me was the Cardoso deal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was meant to be a par exchange, match set and done. The Celso goes one way, and then we're meant to get Cardoso. We finish in obviously Champions League, and then all of a sudden, there's no movement on that, and then he goes to Atletico Madrid. Do you know what I'm saying? Skip forward past that. Yeah.
Sorry, Ash, but it's even worse because Cardoso, we were supposed to get a sell on, but we messed up the contract where if you reject us, we're not getting any money from that transfer. So somebody messed up on the contract too. So we didn't get any money from him.
So if we're going to just talk about the club and not look at individuals, if we don't want to say we want to pin it on an individual, I would say the club messed up on that one massively, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Then if we look forward to, and this is like, we don't know who to believe, right? So I'm with Oren on this. There's only a few sources we can really trust. You can say that some people listen to Ali Gold. Some people be like, he's the mouthpiece because he gets privy to certain information that other journalists don't get. So if, for example, we were actually interested in Hekapi and then Arsenal snuck in, and then he can say, yeah, that was rubbish. But then you've got another guy in Paul O'Keefe who's been wrong a lot of his transfer window. He's in, and he's saying the opposite. And he's saying,
"Does it fucking exist?"
he's trying to give the counter. He's trying to give the counter and said, actually, no, the person that was giving that information out, being Romano, who's highly respected in the transfer world, he said that the source that you got the information is actually correct, and Tottenham were interested in Hekapi, and it was only until Arsenal came in the picture when Ali Gold rubbished the actual rumours. But again, we don't know who's telling the fibs and who's not. So it's a bit of an ITK kind of war. Obviously, Nico Paz, there was a
It's another sorry, the reason I'm laughing, I was talking this off the backstage, and I'm not laughing at what you're saying, Ash. I'm laughing at it. It's fucking hell, the social media journalism. My word. Like, I'm 42. Don't know how old you guys are, but remember when the Sun used to, this player's going to be, and build it up. It's even worse. Like Fabrizio, he is like, what? I watched a small piece about him. Do you know that he calls clubs up and asks them like to give him money so he can then make up transfer rumors? These guys on Twitter make up the biggest stories, and just to get clicks, to get the feeds. Like Paulo Coffey, who is he? Where does he come from? Like I see him on Twitter, and the amount of people who believe his stuff. Woman, like he's saying, the Bayern Leverkusen defender, I can't even pronounce his name.
Happy.
Yesterday Spurs are going in for him. Then he changed the narrative to no, Arsenal are going to go in for him now. Then it's a narrative of, even on Facebook, Facebook's worse, man. Like they just make up the biggest nonsense in the groups. I do believe that the social media journalism is what gets a lot of fans excited, overexcited, because even before the whole Eze thing was completed, even before Savinho, there was Spurs admins, or they have the Spurs page going, oh, our fun is going to look amazing. We've got Solanke, we've got this guy, we've got this guy. And you're like, they haven't even signed. The way I look at it, I'm old school, and I basically think, I don't believe a player has signed for the club until he's put the shirt on. That's it. I'm not going to get wind up. I'm not going to get sad. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to start jumping up in joy. It's no. Until he put the shirt on. That's when I believe it.
Yeah, that
I
is
don't
the
even
best
look
way
on
to put it.
Twitter. I see something the other day where someone was like, Tottenham are seducing Eze, and I had to comment, and I said, seducing? What is Daniel Levy stood there with a pen and a thong on, trying to get Eze to join? Like, what's this, man? Seducing? I just unfollowed him, man. I was like, piss off, man. What are you
But
going on about?
let's be honest though. Look at any other big club. I don't remember any other big club being modded like we do. I don't like what
Of course
happened to
not.
us with
Mhm.
Gibbs White, with Eze, Hincapie, and before. I don't remember this happening to City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea. It only seems to happen to us for some
Yeah,
reason.
because,
That's it.
yeah, it does. And there's a reason why. There's a
I
valid
I don't
reason
think
why.
there's a conspiracy
No,
for
it's not a
Eze against
conspiracy. A
Spurs. I
conspiracy
don't
is
believe
something
that.
that's not been proven, but this has been proven.
So this is the latest rumor, basically. I don't know if you
Uh,
happen to believe this one.
if this
Just said it.
happens, I'm taking a break from the club for the year. If this happens,
But wasn't
can't
Spurs linked
stand
with
him.
him like 2 seasons ago?
We were. Quite a
Yeah.
few people wanted him at the time, but
Uh,
obviously
And
the
isn't he
reputation.
experienced at 30 years old? Isn't he
Yeah,
experienced? Plays in the
he's
Champions
another.
League.
Yeah, he's another. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
he's a head
isn't
case,
that
the crazy
what
bum.
Spurs fans were screaming out for last season? Get an experienced player in who's Champions League, who's relatively good.
Well,
mean,
I think at the
No,
moment
but
is that
no, yeah,
I
no.
think that the mood of the fan base has changed because they want to have a play at the right age as well. So
I mean,
I think
if
that's what's coming into play now. And obviously, go on, Eugene, bring it home. Go on,
he's a free
Eugene. Go on.
agent for a reason. He got into a fight with his teammate. He's been an issue for France for a long time. His mom is crazy. Like he's been
His
having
mum.
issues for a decade now. So talent wise, he was always talented, but he's a dickhead. And Frank said he has a policy of no dickheads. This guy's the definition of a dickhead. His
Right.
mom is trouble. She's trouble. This
What's
guy
his
is,
mum done?
she's his agent, and she causes
What?
issues.
'Cause
I'm sure
I was
Ash
thinking,
knows.
what? The way you were speaking is like you know him or something, man. I was thinking, like,
Oh no,
what?
no,
No, no,
it's common knowledge.
Oh,
If you
well,
look it up,
no.
it's common knowledge. I'm
It's
sure Ash knows,
okay.
right, Ash?
I believe you. It's just
No,
the way
Ash
you're
you
can
were
right.
back
saying
me
it. I
up.
was so
You're right.
confused. I was just like, what?
Ash can
No,
back
you're
me up
right.
on that.
No, you're right.
No,
You're
it's
right. You're
it's
right.
not. It's not. It's we're not going against what you're saying. It's like you're speaking like you actually know the mom. You take
Oh,
it.
yeah,
What
yeah.
we're saying is you take it so personal
I
that
d-
Yeah, you
like
just like
has he.
mum's a dickhead. I was just like,
Yeah, like has like it's like almost like she's came and slapped you across your face or something.
because you know
You know what I
why?
mean? It's like
Like I have this. I'm allergic to players like that with like attitudes who
Yeah,
think they're
same. Yeah,
better than they are. Like it just gets to me. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'm
so
the
yeah,
same. Yeah.
he's been an issue. That's why he was kicked out, I believe, of the national team for fighting with teammates. That's why he's a free agent. This guy is, man. I do not
Yeah.
yes,
want to see him in the
but
club.
like we've just someone said, that's just come out and some Twitter page has just gone, hey, remember that guy? Yeah, yeah, let's bring it up because it'll get clicks, it'll get posted,
Yeah.
it'll get
I hope so.
reshared.
I hope
That's
so.
what there's
And
no
it's probably a Man United fan that owns the page. You know what I mean?
No, it's a legit Spurs aggregator, but I think
yeah.
the journalist is Fabrice Hawkins. But you're right; these are actual journalists nowadays. They're getting paid for clicks, likes, views, and they need those numbers. So it's like almost like a separate market in itself, where we're getting fed information and we don't know what to believe or what not to believe. Do you understand? So Like
And
when I think what fans don't like is when other clubs laugh at us because we're trying to get rid of this kind of Spursy tag, and people are calling us Newcastle of the South, which is mad disrespectful because obviously they've missed out on a whole heap of targets and they think they're bigger than they are. Do you understand? So that's where Spurs fans, and obviously because we've missed out on targets in the past, it is kind of like, as someone said in the comments, do you know what I mean? It's PTSD, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So,
that's what I was trying to say. It's not a conspiracy. It's basically those journalists know that they can slate Daniel Levy or create some fictional story because they're not going to get told like they're talking shit. They're going to be like, majority of Spurs fans will say, "Oh, Daniel Levy out, this out, this out." They're not basically. If you look at the facts and what's actually happening, you understand it more. But I think we do live in a world where people just see information and go, "That's right," get excited about it. Then when it doesn't happen, and it
But
happens every
but
summer.
Oren, to be fair, look, like where there is smoke, there is fire, right? If you look at individual ITK like Fabrizio or O'Keefe in isolation, yes, you can say that. But if we have Ornstein, Romano, O'Keefe, all the big ITKs who do have sources, if they report the same thing, everybody
Yeah,
said
but
on
that's
Eze,
but
that's
that's
where we were.
but
It's
that's what
they're not making it up, right?
no.
They're all
But
saying the
what I'm
same thing.
but how do we know that they know? Are they speaking directly to Eze? Are they speaking? I mean, who are these sources? I can say I have sources.
oh, well,
I
all
can
right,
say I have
Owen,
sources
can
all
I
over
can
All
I
of
say
them
Liverpool.
though,
something on
not
that
of
one?
one guy,
Just
right?
quickly, because you're a guy that you trust, Gold.
Yeah, I
He
wouldn't trust if
came
he's
out.
being fed from the club.
no, but Gold came
See,
out.
that's it.
No. But wait,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
wait. Hold on.
yeah,
Before we
yeah.
go there, Gold came out after the Eze thing happened. Gold
Hmm.
came out and he was critical of the club,
Right.
Yep,
and even he was like, "This is a new low." So it's like
yep,
we have to be balanced in that, right? If there's certain journalists that we trust
yep.
and are all kind of saying similar things, then there must be some truth to it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm
What?
saying.
Yes, but what I'm yes. In that way, I understand. Yes, there's a truth to it, but how much of the rest is embellished? Because Goal was annoyed, but I think you have to bear in mind, like at that time, it was so close to happening and so like ready to buy the Eze shirts and all the illusion of him scoring great goals and put on the Spurs shirt that when it didn't happen, it deflated the fantasy. It brought us crashing down. But at the
Hmm.
same time as well, he was upset. But reading what actually happened, you thought I realized like Eze from I just believe that if I maybe it's because I'm biased, but I'm a Spurs fan. But if I'm playing for Crystal Palace
Mm,
and a club comes in for me, and then Spurs comes in for me, I'm going to pick Spurs,
of course,
right? So
of course.
therefore, I just thought that if Eze really wanted Spurs, he could have still turned them down. He didn't, and
No,
you have to put it down. And again, agents plays a factor in it. Did the agent use Spurs? Always talking to Arsenal and going, listen, do you think because he really wants to come to your club, can you do something?
But Oren, let's be
There's a
real.
whole lot of factors. That's what I'm trying to
But
say, Eugene. It's like
no, I
we
get
just
you.
look at Levy, but there's a whole lot of factors that we've got to take into consideration.
No, I get you. You're right. But look, let's keep it real. Where we are in the food chain, any player, I don't
Hmm.
care who that player is. If it's Spurs versus Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Madrid, those big clubs, that player will choose them over us. That's why we need to act smarter and faster, right? So
But
when we
if
do have an opportunity, we got to jump on it because
but
those
okay,
players will pick those clubs over us every time.
right. So say
Hmm.
Spurs had gone in with 68 million for Eze, and
mm,
then the agent went here. This is what's happening, and Arsenal went, fuck it, we're going to go 68 million as well.
But they
Doesn't matter.
didn't.
that's what
No, but
happened though.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is like
That's what
if
happened.
a bigger club comes in at the last minute, they're going to go to the club anyway. It
And
doesn't
that's
matter if
fine.
it's quick.
And that's cool. But at least I know, you know what?
I just,
That's we didn't mess up.
see, personally,
I think
I just
Eugene's going
don't.
with it because it's like what if we didn't haggle and waste time, if Eze's there and you go 68 million and it's like just like like what we did with Kudus and Gibbs' wife, the money goes in and then the
Mm.
next day Arsenal goes in, then cool. But I'm sitting there, I'm like waking up I'm waking up at 4 in the morning to go to the toilet. I'm like, let me just see if there's anything that's happening. I'm looking at the next day. I'm checking my phone. Anything
I
happened? I've
think,
got to work.
wow,
I've got to the toilet. Hold on, let me just check. I'm
Mm,
getting
exactly. I get
I'm
that.
losing my mind, and then
mm.
Arsenal just go, oh, we got an injury this morning. By the afternoon, he's with us.
Exactly.
Mm.
But boys,
And
to
that's
Ash's
the thing,
point,
though. I must have been the only fan who wasn't bothered if Eze came or not. I just
Well,
don't see what all the deal about him.
We're focused on the Eze part, but I don't want
Sorry,
to use
yeah.
Eze.
Oh,
I
yeah,
want
cool,
to use other players, for example. So
Even other players, yeah.
But I think what Oren's trying to say, he's not married to. It doesn't matter who the player is. The player could be Rodrigo. The player could be, I don't know.
Anyone
Messi,
could be fucking Messi when his prime or not in his prime. You don't need anyone.
Oren would still have the same kind of attitude towards the transfer. If the player doesn't want Spurs, then Oren's like, well, I'm not fussed. I'm not married to it because it's like going for a girl. It's like going for a girl and being upset that she didn't pick you. You know what I'm saying?
Brad Pitt. If it's pure Brad Pitt,
if she's for the streets, Bob, if he's for the streets, then it was your turn. It was just your turn. She's not going to be your girl. Do you understand?
No, yeah, it's like, the way I look at it, if you're talking about flowers again, it's like you're nicing up a girl, you're buying her flowers, you're buying her chocolates, and all the boys say, "Hey, bruv, why are you doing that? She's a scat." But you're like, no, she's a real one. And you're doing all that. You go to a party, a boy wakes up in the morning, and you're like, "Hey, bruv, where you been? You know that girl you've been buying flowers for? I dealt with it." But that's what it's like. You done all the hard work, and he just went, "Yeah, what you doing now?" and took her upstairs within 10 minutes.
You know what?
That's your loss. The girl didn't want you.
What you said initially, right?
If that girl wanted you, she would have told that boy to get fucked. Simple as that.
That's Oren.
She's taking flowers and the chocolates off you, and then she just comes and deals with him.
If that happened to me, I'd be like, you know what, you've done me a favor because it shows that she's easily led and she will fuck anybody. Doesn't matter how hard I try, she's gonna fuck anybody. So she's not gonna be loyal to me.
But,
bye.
Hey man, but a job is a job, you know what I mean? But hey, look, asked originally. Look, like it's not about Eze. When did Madison get injured? When is it? A month ago?
Yeah,
roughly.
Yeah,
It's not even about Eze or Gibbs White. When he got hurt a month ago, it's inexcusable for a big club to be 4 days away from end of the window and have no real targets.
Though,
exactly
they have again.
That's the issue.
I understand why you think it's an issue, but if you listen to, I know it's difficult for anyone who doesn't like Daniel to listen to him, but I think it was like I read that basically it's all done data wise now. So even Thomas Frank, they put in it's all data wise. They put in the data what they wanted from a manager, and then after that, that's how football is run now. So basically.
We have no
Spurs are looking at player for. It's easy for I can be that fan that says I want this player, I want this player, I want this player, but it's very important now that a player comes in and fits in the squad. Not 2 months from now, not 3 months from now, right now.
I hear what you're saying, but sorry to cut you, but don't you think Eze and Morgan Gibbs White are slightly different players? Do you know what I mean? Do you believe in that data-led thing? Because if the data. How would you go from a Morgan Gibbs White leading with data and then go to an Eze? Because the data.
What the data shows, they put in the data, but they show. I'm not familiarized with it, so I don't want to overrun.
Yeah, no, say what you think. That's all right.
Yeah, but I think the way the data is, it's basically they'll put in, say, okay, it's like Football Manager. I don't know if you guys ever played it. And you put in left-footed. He has this. He has this. Yeah. They'll have like 4 or 5 players. Now, Morgan Gibbs White will be at the top because he has the most attributes. Then it'll be Eze, then Savinho, and then someone else. So I think that's what they were looking at.
But look,
Morgan Gibbs White fits the mold.
Yeah, but on Football Manager, you'd buy someone eventually, wouldn't you?
Well, not if the club says no.
We buy Tel?
I made bids for.
Or in this is we spend 40 million on Tel, but we don't have enough money to put for Eze. We have no number 10
Spurs do have the money. Spurs do have the money.
So why haggle? Okay, but that's a different. I don't want to go back to Eze, but I'm just saying it's not making sense. We buy Tel, and now we're looking at Savinho. For a month we have no targets. We cannot walk and chew gum at the same time.
It's about acquiring those targets. Yeah. Again, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Those targets that we're referring to basically aren't up for transfer. The club doesn't want to sell them. So therefore, Spurs have to go in and give them an offer that can either get them interested. Savinho is a perfect example. City doesn't want to sell him. And I even said...
a bigger club. But Chelsea...
No, it's not...
We should
Savinho
be able
said,
to go to a smaller club and get their best guy. City
but it
always
does.
does
Yes,
that. Liverpool does that. Chelsea does that.
we should, according to you, but you're not dealing with the
No,
Crystal Palace manager.
according to other teams, every big club does that.
Yes, but
Except us.
Crystal Palace doesn't like Spurs, and they would like basically. Man City will come in and go, right, this, and this, and this. Fair enough. But this is not Man City, this is Spurs. Spurs have to be able to manage what they spend, how they spend it, and get the right spending in. That's how it works.
Forget Palace.
But
What
why-
about
No,
Dortmund?
that's what it doesn't matter who it is. What I'm trying to say, Eugene, is that yes, you have every right as a fan to get upset, but it's not like this is something that only just started. This has been happening for 20 years.
But
Spurs
every
have
club's
never
improving
gone out
around
and
us.
splashed 80 million or 60 million or 80 million or 100 million a player. They've never done that.
But
So
Forest does it.
you expect Spurs now to do something they've never done before, and then you get upset when they don't.
No.
That's not a
What,
club they
spend
run.
65 million?
No, I'm not talking like 65 million. Eze wasn't 65 million; it was going to be 68 million.
No, I'm on
Or-
about any player, because for me, I think you're both right. But what my thing is that let's say we're doing a data led. Let's say we're saying this player, this player, this player, this player. My thing is we're doing that and then that and then that and then that, like you say on Football Manager. So like you said, you got Savinho, you got Eze, you got Gibbs White. Now if I'm playing Football Manager and Daniel Levy's telling me I want Champions League football, right? And it gets to the point where he's giving me a kitty of 90 million, and I'm happy with all my squad. I don't want to sell anybody. I might want to get rid of maybe a Ben Davis or something, yeah. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, right, I've got 100 millies in the bank, and let's say Eze goes to Arsenal, right? So forget Eze, forget Gibbs White, forget Savinho.
Yeah.
There's going to be other players that fit that my attributes with the left foot, the right foot, the dribbling, the flair, all of that.
Let's say
Paqueta,
for example.
it's going to be a Paqueta, like I said, the Xavi Simons. There's going to be other players.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, right, I've got
Yeah.
Maddison and Kulusevski out to the new year. I've just played a couple of games where I've won, but I'm looking at the stats. We created chances, but not centrally. So it's going to get to the point where why are we sitting there going, oh, we're interested in like Savinho? There's other players out there, like we're going on, like the players that we've gone for are the only players that fit this data source. If you like you say, when you go on Football Manager, you'll click left foot, number 10, creative, and you'll have your 5-star, get at all any costs. You'll have your 4-star, brilliant fit, and he's friends with Paulinho or something because he's Portuguese. You'll have a third one that will say average, but you'll even have a 2. I've played Football Manager where I can't get the 5, the 4, the 3, and I'll go and get the 2 because I'm not creating. We're not doing that. You'll never catch me playing Football Manager, and by the end of it, I've gone and bid for the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and just left it. I'll even go and get someone on loan. So I'll go to Real Madrid, and there might be someone like Danny Ceballos, who the attributes ain't great, but his creativity's 15. All right, bring you in, because if your creativity's 15, you can do a job for me. So when it gets to January, I might be able to go and get that player. But at the minute, it looks like we're doing all of that, and Pap Sarr's going to be our number 10.
Look,
it's like if Pap Sarr turns out to be number 10, let's focus on the players that Spurs have.
So wait. Let me ask
but
a
Pap
question.
Sarr's not a number 10.
Wait. Oh, go on.
No, number
go on.
10, yeah.
No, but like,
Go on.
or again,
I don't.
with all due
I
respect,
see. We're like, if you've never followed me on stream, I just like the one up top. You said this season you're not going to get annoyed. Whatever happens. I've been like that my entire Spurs life. I don't get annoyed or frustrated or hurt by something I can't control. Whatever Spurs are doing, I'm sure they're going to do it. I'm not a businessman. I have never done a transfer deal in my life. I can say I want this player, I want that player, but I'm not going to get upset if Spurs don't buy it because it's what I want. It's what Daniel Levy does is he makes decisions based on the club and making sure the club is in the right direction. He's not afraid to piss people off. He's not afraid to piss people off.
But how can the club be in the right direction when Levy says, I want to challenge for leagues and Champions Leagues? Every club around us, including Forest, is making moves, and we don't have a 10, we don't have a left winger, we're spending money on,
But that's the thing. It's like the truth of the matter is, when I see it, is that if Spurs was to sign Savinho tomorrow, hypothetically, right, 90 million, that still wouldn't be good enough, because then yourself, Eugene, would be saying, we need a left wing back. We need cover for this. We need cover for this.
You build on it.
You'll never. That's what I'm saying. You will never be happy with who Spurs sign.
What do you mean? You build
You
on it,
won't. You
right? You
can't,
build a
because you're not
squad.
happy now, and you'll never be happy.
No,
You'll always think there's a player that
so are you
Spurs need to
saying
get.
we can get, are you saying it's either all or nothing? That's not how it works, right? Look how Liverpool or City are building teams. You buy one or two or three starters each window and you improve the squad, especially that we're in Champions League.
Yes,
We have to compete on all fronts. So you build a squad. So if they would have brought in a 10 and a left winger this window, no fan would complain. Would be like, you know what? It's a great window in January. Let's bring in somebody else.
but
But
that's what I
now
mean. You're
we
already
have no left
saying,
winger, we
let's
have
bring
no
in
10.
someone else in January. Then let's bring in someone else. Then let's bring in
Right.
someone else.
But that's how you build a squad.
Yes,
That's
that's how
not
you
how
build a
football
squad.
teams
But
work.
Spurs have a squad there. So what I focus on is the squad that Spurs have and what they're capable, because there's no guaranteed that any player that's signed is going to be outstanding. No one expected Kudus, like, he's exciting people, but no one thought he's going to be a baller. Like, he
But
didn't perform well. In fact, West Ham fans were actually saying thank you. So basically, it's like,
they're pissed off.
even with Eze, what I'm trying to say is like, it's easy for fans to say, get these players that Spurs have been linked with, but there's so many different factors that we don't play in. Does a player wants to come? Family. Will the player settle in? You know what I mean? So Spurs have gone for players this season where they've been proven to play in the Premiership, which is always going to be tough because those clubs didn't want to sell them. And basically, like, they've got Polinia, who has come in, and I believe even if Spurs had gotten Eze, Savinho, Morgan Gibbs-White, fucking top striker, the biggest signing, I believe, this season is Paulinho, a number 6. You've already seen what he can do. That was the plug that needed filled. And we've seen the difference. Like, there was no point. So when I look at it, it's like, what did Spurs really need in the transfer market? A number 6. They've got that. They've
Just off the
started
back
right.
of that, Oren, just off the back of that, what would you rate? Because that's what in my head
Yeah.
when I'm sending out the message. What do you rate this window? If the window was to shut, close tonight, boom. What are you rating this window?
Fuck. That's a fuck.
And I want to know in the chat. I want to know in the chat as well.
I know you were going to ask me this
All around.
question, and I started kind of prepared multiple times, like a Doctor Strange. Because no matter what
There's
answer
no right
I
or
give,
wrong. Listen, in my world, in this show, there's no right or wrong. I only want you to be honest.
I know.
That's it.
We can't score goals. We have no goals
No,
in
let
this
him
team.
answer. Wait. ACG.
But they have answered. I want to see what everyone's response
Let him
is.
land the vehicle. Hey,
I'm
Jacob?
worked up, Ash.
Eugene?
I would
Alright.
say.
Me and Eugene are reading the book.
I know. He's
Focus.
waiting. Fuck. I'm gonna mute.
I just want your honest opinion. I just want your honest opinion.
I know. I am. That's what I'm gonna give. I would say a 7, maybe.
How many reasons?
Wait. Let him give the context.
And the reason why is because I believe, I said it last year and I said it the year before, what Spurs really needed was a number 6. That was the position, and they've got one of those. And Kudus, he's a winger. I'm pleasantly surprised because I don't watch him at West Ham, but he's a winger, natural winger, gets a head down, crosses the ball. They've got 2 players who have made the team better so far, and they've shown this. So therefore, I have to give a 7. I can't focus on what players they didn't have. So that's
what would take it up to another level? That's what I want to know in your opinion.
Well, obviously, if Spurs was to get a good number 10 in, I don't even care about Savinho. Just a player who's willing to work hard, follow the system, and he's not about glammy and yeah.
So you would prioritize if you had like one or two options, right? You either can get a left winger or a 10. Who are you picking? What are you getting?
It's a fucking tough one. Right, I'm gonna go. You know what? I would say a winger.
A winger, yeah.
Reason why is because I don't think Brendan Johnson's a winger. I think he's a striker. He should be playing in the middle. He's not a winger.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you prioritize a left winger over a number 10. Cool.
Yeah, I would. Yes.
And that would make it more of an 8 out of 10 if we got that done.
Yeah. Again, but that guy would have to come in and create like 2-3 assists.
I'm interested to know. Sorry to cut you again.
What
would make the window less than 7 out of 10 for you? Like, what would be like a non-negotiable where you think the club have failed you?
If they didn't cover the position that needed covered, which was a number 6, and we've always.
That's the reason why So if Paulinho gets injured, for example, now what?
If
That's
well, I
exactly what I
think
was going to say.
if he gets injured, I
Sorry.
think that both Gray and Bergville can fill in that position. They
Well, you
both
just said
can,
that. Okay.
as in not like obviously playing together, but you still have to remember Bentancur's there, Sar's there, and you have to remember last season as well. Yes, Spurs finished badly, blah blah blah, but Gray, I think, and Bergville, give them a chance, get them going. And against Burnley, he didn't concede anything, and both were really good. I guess I know it's Burnley, should beat them, but if Frank uses Paulinho how I think he will, which is the big games, Man City, Liverpool, he can afford to rest them against lower end teams. I think Paulinho is going to be staying
So
along fitter, and Bentancur as well.
last bit, and then you guys chime in, right? So the last bit is PSG. Sorry, no, not PSG. Bournemouth. We're playing Bournemouth next. Would you expect then a Paulinho to be rested for that game, or not?
Well, Bournemouth are a physical team, aren't they? They're
Yeah,
big. Are they
they
still a
press.
big physical
They
team?
they press. They press crazy. They're a very front-footed pressing direct team.
It wouldn't surprise me if Paulinho starts, but Archie Gray or Bergville starts next to him, and then Sars keeps, and then basically Bentancur gets brought on. Or if Frank plays a 3-5-2,
against Bournemouth? Against Bournemouth at home.
Could, yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, jump in, man. The floor is yours.
I think me and Eugene are going to say the same thing. I think he put the fingers up before me. I don't like if I'm going to give it the number, I'll give it a 4, man. Like for instance, Orin's right in the fact that we needed to bring Paulinho in, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with Kudus. You can't give it anything above a 4 because if those two players get injured, we're back to square one. We were still in a position where if Van der Ven gets injured and Thomas Frank wants to play a back 4, or we're playing another Burnley at home or a Leeds, Ben Davies comes in, who everybody might rate, but we're one injury away from Ben Davies playing in a Champions League game against Real Madrid. I don't think that fills me with any joy. You're looking at fullbacks. We've got if you're going to say Jed Spence and Pedro Porro are right backs, let's say, then we've only got one left back. And again, that means if, let's say, Porro gets injured and Jed Spence goes out to the right, that means we're left with Ben Davies at left back, which makes it 10 times more worse. And then if we're talking about prioritising a left winger and a number 10, I think what a lot of people don't talk about is, fair enough, Kulusevski can play in the number 10, but under Thomas Frank, I think he'd be utilised as a winger. So even at the club, I think we've only got one natural number 10, which is Maddison, and that means we've got 6 wingers. So we've got Odebert, we've got Kulusevski, we got Johnson, we got Kudos, we got Tell, and there was someone else I was thinking of. So it's like, how is it we've got 5 wingers, we want Savinho, but we're not getting a number 10?
Is that bad
So
recruitment
that's
by
a
the
4.
club then as well? Would you
Yeah, that's
say?
what I'm saying. So
Or
it does hinge a bit on the past. So it gets to the point where Thomas Frank and where we're at now can't be blamed. But then it's like you signed Tell without knowing who our manager is, and he's only 19, so I'm not going to sit there and go, he's terrible. This.
He's 20.
He's 20, yeah. So it's like, but my thing is, why did we signed him for 30-40 million and we didn't even know who our manager is? So it's
Didn't
like,
he sign after Frank?
Yeah, Frank was here when we signed him.
Frank was here when he signed him.
Yeah,
It was litigation.
before. But realistically, like, I don't know how to explain it. The reason why I probably got the confusion is because when Tell came to us on loan, you knew that Daniel Levy was going to wrap that up anyway.
Yeah.
So regardless of the
club signing,
wrapped up anyway. He didn't have to play well. You just knew, he's going to do that. We signed someone from Bayern Munich. Oh yeah, Daniel Levy looks great. But my thing is if it's going to be, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 on a transfer window, I'm looking at that transfer window and going, right. So again, we're related to Football Manager. If I'm playing Football Manager and I get my pen out, some things relate to real life and Football Manager, because I'll get a pen out and go, right, I need 2 in each position. So if I'm writing it down on my notepad and I'm like, I don't know, I've only got 1 right back, then I'll be like, right, so I need to buy a right back, a left back. I need somebody that can play left wing. I need a number 10, and I'm going to get on a number 10 by getting rid of 2 wingers because I've got 6 of them. But we're not doing that at the minute.
But to Oren's point, technically, we've got Frank. He's a great coach. Isn't he there to develop the likes of Odebert, Tells, etc.? Then you've got Spence that can cover at left back. Centre back cover, we've got Vuskovic so far, if he doesn't go out on loan. We've also got Takai, the Japanese new kid that we did bring in. I know he's injured at the moment, but he's another player that could play like as a left-sided centre back. Then obviously you've got for Romero, you've got Dragushin's cover centre back, and then obviously you've got Danso, and we could even go to a back three as Oren was saying. So technically, we do have like depth if like Frank is that coach, the miracle worker that he's been, made up.
What happens if injuries? So what happened at Spurs? What happens if Spurs saw Eze and he gets injured? What does Spurs do then? What does Spurs bought Morgan and he gets injured?
Because
right? But that's
so
why
if you're going to use any player can get injured at any time. There's no guaranteed.
But that's why if you bring in new starters, the current starters go to the bench and they're the cover. Look, but that's how we all knew even last season.
Yeah, but if they get injured, but it's not changing the thing because you're buying these Eze to start or anyone who's a proven number 10 to start. So if they get injured, then what happens?
Hold on. Let's just look at the facts. If we look at last season, we all knew when the season was over. Again, Madison is always hurt. He misses a third of the season every season. Romero, Van der Ven, they will miss time. Udogi is injury prone. Half of our team is injury prone. Solanke, Richarlison. So even before the loss of Madison, we were short, right? They bought Tell for some reason, right? So after Madison injury, we have no number 10. We have no cover for Udogi or Poro, only Spence, right? If Spence is out, we're screwed. We have no left-footed center back. So we knew that we needed at least 4 starters to come in. At least. So now Kudus is a great signing. We could see the difference. Palhinha is a great signing, but in the PSG game, we all saw what happened when Palhinha left and Archie Gray came in. Archie Gray, Bergval, Tell, Odebert, they can be all good in a season or two. Right now, they're not ready. And we're in Champions League. What's the point of being in the Champions League if you develop players? Palhinha cannot play twice a week. We're going to be playing City and Madrid or City and PSG.
Yeah,
he
but that's what
cannot
I'm
play
saying,
twice a week.
Luigi.
Romero can play twice a
if
week.
Palhinha plays on Wednesday, then he might play Bergville or Archie Gray in the Premiership because they have experience.
They're not good enough.
You knew they're not good enough. And you can sit there and say they're not good enough, but it's not based on what you think. It's based on what 17th. Frank thinks. Spurs finished 17th not because of those 2 players. Spurs finished 17th because there was injuries and everything. So basically, those 2 players have been developed because of last season. And Frank has already started those 2 players against Burnley. And they didn't concede a goal. But I understand that Mickey Van de Ven and Romero, I do understand your concerns, but I'm thinking, right, if Spurs buy these players who are starters, what happens if they get injured? Then you're back to the same thing. Because then you're saying if Spurs went in and bought a left-footed centre-back who's going to, a top one, who's going to cost easily 70 million, he gets injured, then Van de Ven gets injured, then you're
don't buy anybody ever? I'm
not saying don't buy anyone ever. I'm saying you can buy players, but what I'm trying to say to you, Eugene, is that it's easy for us fans to say, we need this, we need that, we need that, we need that. But the club doesn't operate like that. You're not going to look at Chelsea. Chelsea have bought loads because Spurs aren't Chelsea.
But Spurs bought 5 players in the span of a week. Look at everything.
When this season?
10 players, right?
This season?
Yeah.
Or last season?
They bought 5 players in the span of 1 week.
This season or last season? This season or last season?
No, this season. This season.
I haven't paid attention on first. So who they bought in? Because I heard Nino saying that he hadn't invested in that.
Amari Hutchinson. They bought
McAtee, and they bought 5 players.
Ndoye, they bought 5 players in the space of 8 days.
Every round
like that.
Right. So where are those players coming from?
Man City,
from City,
Ipswich.
I mean,
and were those players for sale?
Yeah,
but nobody is ever for sale until you go and ask, until you go and get them. Again, I don't even care. It's
so
not about
if Spurs had bought those players and Nottingham Forest have bought, would you have been happy?
Right now, in the beginning of the window, no, because we're not Forest. Our ambitions are. Daniel Levy said he wants to compete. How can we compete if we don't bring in a 10? We don't have a 10 on the team. We don't
I
have a
think
left
it's
winger.
right,
It's
if I'm honest.
it's not like I
right.
would understand, but it's not like Spurs haven't tried to get a number 10. They have. They've
But there are
just
more
been
number
done
10s
by
than
the
2.
agent. Right, but the number 10 that Spurs were looking for was number 10s who have played in the Premiership, who have Premiership experience, also
But
English. That's
why?
what you.
Based on what?
What do you mean based on what?
Where'd
The
you hear
two
that?
Morgan Gibbs White's English, isn't he not?
Well, yeah, but those are 2 examples. But why do you
What
say that we only
Spurs
want?
went in and wanted to buy 2 players who have Premiership experience. Polina, they could have gone for any other player than Polina. Why did they buy Polina? He has Premiership experience.
Or
Last season,
Byron wanted to loan him out. He was available for loan. So if we
yes,
if we
but
loan out a player, we save money.
no,
That's the reason.
but what I'm trying to say, it's the profile of the player, whether he's a loan or not. Spurs obviously were looking for players who's had Premiership experience. Savinha's 21 years old.
I mean, it could
Last
be
season, people were saying go and buy experienced players. Eze is 27, Morgan's what, 25, 26?
25, 26.
So basically, those are 2 English players who have proven themselves in the Premiership that Spurs went for. The agents of both those players, I believe, played Spurs. I understand your frustration. I strongly recommend go and watch the long. You've heard how agents play clubs. You heard how agents want this and hustle and huggle. So basically, now Spurs are looking at Savinho. Why? Because he has Premiership experience. They're looking for Premiership experienced players instead of getting a player in from, say, a European club who's never had Premiership experience, who will then have to adapt to the Premiership, adapt to the way of life of living in England.
Or if you look at Savinho, do you think 1 goal and 9 assist is worth 80 million or 90 million?
No, it's not. But he's a number 10. So if he gets him in, that will please you.
But it's not about the experience in the Prem. It's about talent and it's about the fit. And
no,
again,
experience is important as well.
Yeah,
talent is there, but experience is there. So basically, now you're saying, right, Savinho will be. So if they bought Savinho for 80 million, would that be too much for a player?
Yes.
Even though he's a number 10?
Desperate. But
even
now
though he's a number 10? But he's a number 10. So Spurs are going to pay 80 million for a player who you desperately think they need, but yet you're saying it's too overpriced. So you have to make your mind up.
Well, no. For me, it's relative, right? If you leave all your business until the very last day, now you're going to overpay by a lot of
Savinho and Eze.
Forget about specifics. Savinho, right?
No, you can't be specific. You can't just forget about the reality just to fit your fantasy.
What?
Basically, City, the reason why Spurs are struggling to get is because City don't want to sell him, but Spurs are keep on going because they think, right, and even Thomas Frank said, so if Savinho is a perfect fit for him. He really likes that player. If it wasn't Morgan Gibbs White, it was going to be Savinho. That's what has showed me the players of Spurs have technically bought in is that they want players who can hit the ground running, have Premiership experience instead of bringing in a player, have to settle down, have to take time, might not adapt. We've seen it. Lo Celso.
But give me other options then. Prem proven players who are good enough to start for us. They're not a lot of them. And again, I agree with you. I want
exactly. There's not a lot of them.
Experience. But at this point, if we cannot get those players, we need to. I mean, Lookman, he has Prem experience, right?
What was he like for Everton when he played for Everton?
Well, but now he's a late bloomer, right? But he fits a need. Again, beggars can be choosers, right? There are a lot of number 10. Xavi Simons, you cannot say he's a bad player, even though he has no Prem experience.
But why did we go for Nico Paz then? If Nico Paz is not Premier proven.
All I'm saying is we have huge
Spurs haven't. That's been rumors created out of thin air. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm saying the players are available. The players are there. If we had a recruiting team worth its soul, look, every other team does business. Every other team scouts players, right? Like there are players available. For some reason, we're dead set on 2-3 players. Fine. If we don't get them, move on. Get somebody else. Liverpool, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, United. That's not how they operate. We just look at one player, it doesn't work out, and that's it. We have nobody else.
Can I ask a question?
I'll give you nothing as well quickly, just before you go, Ash. It's I hate that phrase of Premier League proven, because if you're looking at for Premier League proven, who's been our best player so far this season? Pape Sarr. Now, did Pape Sarr come from the Premier League? No, he came here, had to settle as a youngster and then develop. So I don't understand if we're doing this project
but at the same time,
if we're not, listen, let me finish. If we're not getting the Ezes or anybody Premier League proven, and Thomas Frank is meant to be this wonderful coach, which I believe so, then if he can develop players and we can't get what we want in the Premier League, and like Eugene alluded to, there isn't many players that we can get their Premier League proven for those positions. We've got players that are playing well for Tottenham right now that didn't start in the Premier League. Romero didn't start in the Premier League, nor did Romero, nor did Van de Ven, nor did Papsar, nor did Vicario, nor did Pedro Porro. Jed Spence was in the Championship. So all these
What's the point of the
players didn't
scouting
come from the
team?
Premier League.
What
Is
do
what
they
I'm
pay
saying.
money to Lange
You're
or
in a scouting
Paratici?
team to go to Bradford. You're going to go France, Germany, Italy, Argentina, and we've just got Paratici back. There's no way he's staying in England. He's going to be going around, and I guarantee in January at the end of the season, whether we've done well or not, we're going to be bringing in players that ain't Premier League proven. If we just keep our pool to the Premier League, it's only a certain amount of players you can get.
I'm not saying keep them all. I'm saying this transfer. Yes, you're right. Romero, Van de Ven didn't, but they took, and many were surprised at how quickly Van de Ven adapted. Romero had experience. Like Sarr has never played. He has played because he's been in England for 3 years now.
No, but when we bought him, he wasn't.
Yeah, but when we bought him, like he signed for a while, but even he took time to adapt.
But he was 18,
exactly.
so that's normal.
Right. So, but what I'm trying to, like, what I've been saying is that I listened to fans saying last season, and you're like, we bought Borgville and Gray. Oh, why are we buying young players? We need proven, ready, experienced players, ready-made players. Now Spurs are going for those players, getting rejected, and now it's just bring in any player. Doesn't matter who it is.
But that's only two, though.
Bring
You
in
get
another
more.
one.
Bergvall's another one. Was he in the Premier League? No. Look at him now.
That's what I'm saying. It was slated. It was slated because why did he bring Bergville and Archie Gray in, and they've never played in the Premier League before, when he could have bought ready-made Premier League players in?
That's why you got to have a balance. I agree with what you're saying. I'm not disregarding what I've said from the start, that I think both of you were right. If you were to get somewhere in the middle between what you and Eugene is saying, you're both right. Both get Premier League players as well as other players, and then if you've got players like your Bergvalls and your Archie Grays that are going to take time, or if you go and buy someone else from France or Germany or Italy that's got to settle and understand the language and all that, there's no problem there. And then go and get your Premier League ones. But at the minute, it seems like we're just going for the Premier League ones. We're not getting them, and then we're just not going looking for alternatives. And for me,
sorry, I gotta go.
If you look at our team, sorry, are you going? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, boys. Yeah, I gotta run. Just one thing before I go. And again, like Oren, I know like what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But again, when Levy comes out and says my ambitions are A, B, C, and D, right? We're gonna act like a big club. We're gonna bring in Vinay. We're gonna we're gonna do all this. Don't gaslight us. If it's a youth project, just tell us. We're gonna for 5 years. We're gonna develop youth. Or that, right? Like
No, you
if
see,
you're
the
gonna say
thing
we're
is,
gonna
I
compete.
agree with you, Eugene.
I
agree with you.
If we have Champions League, bring in Champions League ready players. If you fail with Gibbs White and Eze, Ash can give you right now 5 players for every position based on Y Scout. What's the point of having Lange and the scouting team and everybody else if we cannot do it? That's what I'm saying is.
You see what Levy does, which he shouldn't do, is he comes up and talks.
That's about Eugene.
Carry on. So listening.
Yeah, he comes on and he talks. Because I didn't even watch the interview. I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Just stay hidden. Don't come out saying you want Champions League and Premiership. You have enough fans. You've spent enough time in that box and have 30,000 fans booing the fuck out of you because you've made promises. Shut the fuck up. Actions speak louder than words, right?
Facts.
And I can see what he was doing, but a lot of people, especially in the comment, I love Daniel Levy. I don't give a fuck about Daniel Levy. I care about Spurs. I like Spurs even when Alan Sugar was in charge. We all know what he did to that club, and even before that. So I will defend Spurs as a club, no matter what chairman it is, because I think as a fan, I have to keep myself logical and grounded and not get upset or emotional when something doesn't happen. So it's not a Daniel Levy thing. It's basically understanding what's happening. And as far as I'm concerned, if Spurs hadn't made any signings or any attempt to sign a number 10, completely understand the anger. But they have. And yes, I understand going for other players. Though, at the same time, they've gone for other players and they haven't worked out.
So what I'm trying to understand is, because I understand where Jacob is. Jacob's like, he wants the club to go to A, B, C, D. Do you know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't just be tied to the Premier League.
Yeah, I
But we
get
need
that.
to be decisive. We need to move like killers. And I think that's where Jacob's a bit concerned, and he's not rating it. He's giving it a 4 out of 10. I didn't get Eugene's number, but I'm pretty sure it was 4 out of 10 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
What I wanted to understand is, do you have an expectation as a fan? And if that's not being met in the club, and I'm talking about in specific to the transfer window, if that's not being met, do you think then, okay, right, I can understand, I'll be unhappy basically. I know you said the number 6, that was massive for you. And you said if we hadn't addressed that area, you'd think, you know, at the
I wouldn't
club
be upset. I'd be like, why haven't you replaced? Like, why leaving a
right.
number
So
6?
I'm trying to
You know what I mean?
understand what like would upset you. What would, because everyone's got their like breaking point, and I'm just trying to understand.
I don't think Orin's got one.
Yeah, maybe I'm just going at the wrong way.
That's what
Yeah,
I think. You know what I think
that's
he
what it
feels
is.
it, and it's a good thing. He takes the
Yeah.
emotion out of football, because with me,
Yeah.
I can sit. You know, let's say Tottenham play Bournemouth at the weekend and we get beat 3-0. I'll go mad on a YouTube video, but then by Wednesday I'm calm. I will
Yeah.
go absolutely nuts to the point where I have to tell the kids to go in the garden because I'm doing a video.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But then, like, that's
I
on a
get that.
Saturday afternoon. But then by Monday, I'm watching my video again, and fair enough, you might get a little bit of traction. Someone rings and says that was jokes, but I'm calm on Monday, and I'm like, you know what? I know it was a 2-2, but you went a bit bonkers there. Where I think, like, Orin, if you take the emotion out of football, which I have improved on from a youngster,
Yeah.
you do generally tend to, 1, make good predictions, 2, analyze the game, and 3, accept that you do lose games.
Yeah. But do you not think football is about emotion, and it's about like
Don't get me
having
wrong. I do get emotional.
It is,
Like,
yeah.
it is
yeah,
about
I'm
emotion.
to be a
I'm not. I
psychopath.
do get emotional, like when I'm watching Spurs and like, fuck. I mean, if Spurs are losing
Getting slapped
1-0 and then they score in the last minute, of course I'm a fan. I like the
Yeah.
club to do well. I do.
Yeah.
And in truth, I don't like to watch the protests against the club. It's just a case of, don't be wrong, Ash. You just met me at an age where I'm like this. When I was younger, oh, you bet, fucking shit passing, can't fucking do this. You know what I mean? I was all over it. You know? Angry,
I want
pissed
to meet
off,
that Oren.
nothing.
How do we get that Oren back? Like,
Oh,
how
you
do
can't. That
we
or
get, no, but I'm
what is
saying
that?
like,
What does that mean? What does
but,
that
like, for
mean?
me, like, can I be honest? Would there be a point where, like, if you saw progression in a club, and let's say we got the Savinho over the line, let's say we got like a world class number 10, like best possible, you know, scenario. Levy pulls it out the bag, like last minute. You know what he does on that day? Transfer window pulls up. You know what I mean? Like a Harry Redknapp when we got Van der Vaart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those type of vibes. Everyone's excited. You're going into the new season, right? And all of a sudden, Spurs are now, we're top of the league, but it feels a bit different because we've got quality players in the side. Do you start getting more emotional? Because I feel like when you're emotionally heightened in that way, like positively, it can swing about roundabouts if something else goes wrong, if that makes sense. Because I don't know if like you've been taken on that journey with the club, and maybe that's why you're a little bit detached because you're like, I
It's
don't want to be hurt again.
so
You see what I'm
let
saying?
me. Yeah. So like, basically, it's my philosophy. Like, I even have a podcast on Spotify where I explain all this, how I operate.
Make sure
Because
you
it's weird.
subscribe.
It's weird for people. It's weird. I know people, even the comments, reading the comments is funny, right? I don't get upset at things I can't control. And I can't control what Spurs do. I can only support the club. And in truth, like I said to Marlon and yourself when I came on when at Spurs, I said when Spurs lifted that trophy, I was happy for the club, but most of all, I was happy for you and Marlon. For all that season, the amount of fucking shit you guys had to deal with. And that made me realize, you know what? What makes me excited is when Spurs win and you see all the fans going nuts and jumping for joy. That's where I get it. It's not like I remove myself from it because I enjoy the game better. I'm able to watch the game. And I was even saying to my brother, maybe because he was asking me the same thing. I support Wigan Warriors in rugby league. They win trophies every second season. So, but I just think that watching a match I think it's expectations of what I want. What I want is something like a teenager. I want this player. I want this player. But you know what? I'm not Tottenham Hotspur. What I want might not always come true. So am I always going to be that child who gets upset through my toys out of the pram because I don't get what I want? Well, Tottenham Hotspur is a big club. It's bigger than me. So am I going to get upset over a loss or a draw or a win?
No,
Like a
but
loss.
it's not so much being upset. It's frustration when you can see. It's like you see the potential in a young kid.
Yes,
But
yeah.
that young kid keeps on repeat offending. They keep going,
Yeah.
and they keep either they're messing up. Like they got the potential to play for the school, or they can do one further and they can play for the club, like academy, or they could be an England international. But they keep messing around and running with these other kids. Do you know what I'm saying? They keep
You're absolutely
hanging
right. But
around.
here's
You see the potential, but you're frustrated
but
because you're
here's
like, it could be so
The
much.
thing is,
here's the
it is tricky, but it's like I like Erin's way of looking at it because like I've had to try and of course emotion's part of it, so I'm not going to sit there and say I'll sit there with a cup of green tea watching Tottenham because that don't happen, right?
yeah, yeah.
It just don't happen. But it's got to the point where, like, for instance, when my son was watching me, he's like 4, right? And I was
Mm,
when I was with his mum, like
yeah.
he would see me on the whole of Sunday, just like run it. Like I wouldn't even be talking. He'd be like, Dad, can you get this here? One sec. So I'm sitting there thinking about lineups. You better not start this geezer. If we win this game, we're 4 points off top. Or, I'll be doing all that mad stuff, and then all of that thinking and overthought would go into the game, and then I'd either go bonkers and be chucking my son in the air, or
Mm,
a Tottenham result would determine my whole weekend. So I could have gone on date night with my partner. Saturday, my mum and sisters have come round. It's been a blessed weekend. We've gone to church. Heat wave outside. Tottenham lose a North London derby. All of that don't matter. It don't matter, man. Like it gets to the point where I go to work on Monday and
mm,
someone says to me, "Oh, did you have a good weekend?" No, it's dead. And they're like, "Why is that?" "Oh, what did you get up to?" So I tell them, they're like, "But that sounds like a good weekend, Jay." No, 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 no. We lost the North London derby. That don't really matter, man. Do you get what I'm
mm,
saying? But I've learned
mm,
not to do that. And a good thing for me is like when I do my YouTube channels, that's why I've got back on it. I've realised is therapy. Because a lot of the
mm,
time, I'd
mhm.
watch the game, I'd spend 20 minutes talking about the game, I'll put it onto YouTube or whatever, do the little thumbnail, put it
Yeah.
out. Within an hour, I'm like, right, kids, what do you want to do? Do you want to play cards or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've managed to get that out onto a channel and effectively, no pun intended, but I've channeled my aggression, let's say,
Yeah.
Mm,
into YouTube, and I'm cool. So, and again, you got to remember that football, like I always say, God, family, and friends, put that aside, then it's football. Whereas beforehand, nothing really mattered. It didn't matter.
mm.
Like if Tottenham lost or if I lost on the Sunday league, trust me,
Yeah, no,
there's
I hear it. I hear it. I hear it. I
nothing
hear it. I
worse.
just want to ask a football question. I want to go back to a football question,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I did touch on it before, but I am intrigued to hear once again, like what your thoughts should be going forward in terms of a midfield three, how that should look against a Bournemouth. Like if we should keep the same midfield together, or should we rotate, and also, do you
Hmm.
think like getting a number 10, does that stop Sar's pathway? Because at the moment,
That's
no,
that's the,
wait, no, hear me
no.
out, hear
I
me
agree
out.
Which
I
with
know
you.
which
I
it's
agree with you.
crazy. Wait, hear me out. Wait. I know. Listen, and comments get involved in it. Like this is a bit
Yeah.
mad because Sar is playing like out of his skin for some people. He's one of, like Jacob said, he's one of the best players for our club right now. But if we sign a number 10, then we have to now choose Bentancur or Saar, Paulinho or Saar, or Paulinho and Bentancur, because the 10 needs to fit in somewhere, and Saar
mm,
technically is not a 10. Do you know what I mean? Or do we keep that midfield three the same and do what like people are describing what Liverpool midfield was like,
hmm
under Klopp, just hard working. Do you understand? Which has been working to be fair, up to now. Do you know what I mean? And just focus. And that's the reason why I was asking that question. Where do you prioritize? Do you prefer a left wing option or do you prefer the 10? And that goes for the comments as well. What do you lot think, man?
I'll go with. Oh, do you want to go first, Robin?
No, you go first. You go first.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I like it. I remember when, like you said, Liverpool, because I was going to say it. My cousin, I don't know if it was commonly known or Liverpool fans called it or my cousin did, but he used to call it the Brexit midfield. So it
Right.
was like
Right.
Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and Henderson. Now, Wijnaldum to an extent could create, as in, cool, I'll pass it to you. Henderson the same. He'd get more assists than people would actually give him credit for. And then Fabinho would just be in there destroying a lot and just saying you lot. So then that midfield was more of a group that was making sure that Trent Alexander could do what he did. Andy Robertson was going forward. Firmino was dropping into the gaps. And essentially they were saying, right, boys, all we've got to do is pass it to Mane and Salah. Them two will win us the games. So my thinking is that, for instance, if we do go into the market, which I'm hopeful for, a lot of the games you won't need a number 10 because if you're coming up against Tottenham, even against when we're playing Bournemouth, people will disrespect Bournemouth. But I'm telling you now, if you go and stick a number 10 in there thinking that we're just going to have it nice and easy, you won't, man, because they gave us problems last season. I remember when we lost 1-0 there, and fair enough, it was under Ange. We lost 1-0, and that should have been about 10. Do you know what I mean? I was sitting there thinking, I can't believe we've come out of there 1-0. So they pressed like animals. They got dangerous players like Semenyo, Evanilson. I'm not sure if Clive is Clive fit or
he's fit. He came on against who did they play on the weekend? I forget, but he came on. I was watching it. There's Wolves, isn't it? They play Wolves, and he came on for like 15, 20 minutes.
That's it. So don't disrespect Bournemouth because Bournemouth are the sort of team that if you disrespect them, they will come to your patch and beat you or get a draw. And we need to keep the hype, so to speak, going because fair enough, transfers might come in or they might not. But my thing is, if we go with the same midfield that we did against Man City, nullify Bournemouth's threat. So if they try and outpress us, we push them out the way and we rely on Kudus and Brennan Johnson to supply for Richarlison. Now, if it's not working, because fair enough, Bournemouth haven't got any answers for us, but we're not creating, and then it gets into the latter stages of the game, you can bring on a Bergvall that can still keep that Brexit mobile sort of thing stable, but he might have a bit more going forward. You might have to bring Prapsar in or take Bentancur off. And then we've got so many wingers, you could chuck an Odebert in, you could chuck a Telwyn, see what happens. You could put a Solanke in. But it's dangerous because if Maddison, all of a sudden we woke up in the morning and Maddison was fit and everybody's like, come back from the international break, that guy's going to be fit. Would I start him in the big games as a number 10? I don't think I would because as much as he's good going forward, especially under Ange in the seasons, there was times where whatever way we were set up, midfields would come through Maddison because he's not going to win too many tackles. He's not the best presser. And if you're not pressing with Maddison, sometimes he would press and turn around, like Orin said earlier, and no one's pressing with him. Whereas I look at the three that we had in against Man City, everybody was pressing and there was no looking backwards. Everybody knew, when you look at the second goal, I was looking at it thinking, this is crazy. Like, when we won the ball back, Van de Ven was in the box. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's because they all knew what they were doing. Whereas if we did that under Ange, that probably would have been players doing that off their own instruction. And then if that's Man City, to do that. But Bournemouth won't be scared to just play it over the top to Semenyo, Evanilson. And if Romero's 1-on-1 and we disrespect him, we'll lose it. So I think we just need that just to make sure that if we're not winning the game, we're not losing.
So you're afraid about like facing a low block, not having enough creativity in that position.
I think you're right in a weird way, but I think we can get our creativity from the flanks. If we look at Man City, we created quite a lot against Man City without a number 10 because of the press and because Man City were like, we can't get through this midfield and Pep refused to play long, so we just penned them in.
Oren, what are you saying, man? Do you think that the number 10 coming in kind of puts down Saar or I know Saar can play the number 8. I know Saar can play the 8, but the double pivot at the moment is looking quite healthy with Bentancur there. And do we drop Palhinha? We obviously everyone remember you said Palhinha's like the best signing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like basically,
do we drop Bentancur or like what's going on?
That's the thing. Like if you bring in a number 10, you're disrupting a core group of players who are clicked. And is he going to be as defensive as Sarr. No,
Yeah,
Sarr's
is
not
it a luxury? Is it a luxury? Is a 10 a luxury now?
That's the thing. It's like what Sarr, what I liked, what I'm liking about Frank is that again, and we said this last season, play to the player's strength. He's not asking Sarr to create, shimmies and ball throughs. He's saying, right, your ability is pressing and harassing. That can create goals. And that's what you saw against Man City. So I think that even if Frank had Madison or Kuleveski, I do think he probably more than likely wouldn't have started them against Man City. He would have started with that three. The midfield three, and that's why I said Paulinho, and that's why I said 7. The midfield three in any top team is the most important part of it. Yes, centre backs important, but that engine room, and that's what Spurs have been lacking last season and the season before. In fact, since Ndombele, in fact, even remember Dyer. If you look at Pochettino, Wanyama, Dembele, Dyer, they were destroyers. They weren't really creative. That was left to Dele Alli, Son, Ericsson, and Kane. And it was only when Son came in that he had, and that's when things started because he had to move Dele Alli inside. Your front three will thrive along with the wing back Spence and Pero if they know that they've got a solid mid three. And I do think that that's what I was trying to say as well. And you brought up a great point, Ash. It's not just about getting any old number 10. They have to want to work hard, which is not something a lot of number 10 wants to do.
So we've been linked with players like there's players like called El Canoes. He comes from Leicester.
Yeah.
But his frame is quite slight, even though he is quite tenacious. He's not like a physical as the midfield three we just spoke about there. And then so you could be weakening the side by bringing a player. Yes, like on the ball we could be better because he's good in the thirds, meaning defensive third, mid third, attacking third. He's able to link defense to attack, and he's good under pressure when he's press resistant. Basically, gets on the half turn, can find other teammates through quality passes. But equally, if you put like a number 10 like him, again, like I said, we're not as physically or hard to beat. But again, it's an option off the bench, as Jacob was saying. Like if we need to change the game, and you've got a player of that profile, it just depends on the circumstance or who we're playing against. Equally, there's another player called Al-Kalouche. Al-Kalouche, you're saying your point is why get Prem proven? We can get other players from outside the league. But the thing is, and you're seeing it with some of the Man City players, like Cherky, for example. Cherky, everyone was talking him up, but he couldn't press out of possession. His pressing was awful. Do you know what I mean? Sarr was bullying them. Do you know what I'm saying? And they hooked him up. Pep hooked him at half time. So intensity does matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Are these players going to have enough intensity? Did they have enough physicality? Are they used to the league as well? Because I do agree with what you're saying about Sarr, but Sarr did take maybe 1 or 2 seasons to get up to speed to the level where what we're seeing right now. Do you know what I mean? So if we do bring another player in from another league, we do run the risk of that also having to factor in that player needs to be, given time, he needs to get used to his teammates. He might not hit the ground running, etc., etc. And we're going to move a player like Sarr, who's doing well, just to shoehorn a number 10 in. Is it a luxury worth having? Do you know what I mean?
It's the options that you want, isn't it? It's one of the ones I'd rather have the discussion with you lot, knowing that we're going into Bournemouth and it's like, is it going to be the number 10 that we've just bought or Sarr? And that's what that's a headache that Thomas Frank's got to deal with, rather than at the minute we know that it's either going to be perhaps Sarr or Bergvall, which again I'm happy with, but there's going to be times where Benton calls no spring chicken and Paulinho might not get injured, but you got to remember how many times that guy gets booked. Like I used to have him in my dream team, man, and he used to get to the point where all of a sudden you find out that he's suspended because he's had 5 yellow cards in the first 5 games at Fulham. So it's like you got to have those options. But again, Owen is right in the fact that if you do go outside the Premier League and then he comes in from France or he comes in from Italy, you do run the risk of him going, "Whoa, what's this?" Do you get what I'm saying? Like you said, Shirky didn't have a clue what was going on. But Shirky, to be fair, I love the player at Lyon, but I always said if Shirky's gonna be a top player, he needed to go to he needed to go to a Tottenham or go to a
Mm.
Barcelona where the managers are just going to say play, because we've seen what Pep's a top manager, but we've seen what he did with Grealish. Grealish got 2 assists in 2 seasons when Everton and equaled that the weekend
Yeah.
because he was allowed to do what he wanted. Shirky's not. If Shirky's not allowed to do what he wants, you're just going to find a player that will get assists and get goals, but he's not going to pull off that magic that he was doing for Lyon or France.
Here's the thing.
Go on.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Can Kudus, Odebeer, can they play number 10?
They can. So Odebeer could play left 10 and Kudus could play right 10.
I mean, imagine Kudus if he has to play a 10. The way that boy bullies people, the fuck, you know what I mean? He will be a very physical.
In Ghana, he plays for Ghana. He plays a number 10. He plays all over different positions, but he's done it at Ajax as well. He's played a 10 there as well.
What did he play at West Ham? Was it mainly left wing?
They played him everywhere. But they mainly played him out on the left last season to shoehorn Bowen in, because Bowen's better on the right. So they moved him out of that position, and I think that's where lots of West Ham fans were complaining where his form went down. And obviously they weren't playing too well. So when you're playing with a team that's got low in confidence, then that might reflect in your output. But yeah, he can play the number. Yeah, he can play the 10.
Can Odegaard play at number 10 as well?
Yes, so Odegaard played a few games for Burnley, and also he was at Troyes as well, and PSG. So he played a few games. I think it was at Troyes where he played a few games in their number 10, which is interesting because Savinho also played for Troyes as well. But he was there, like they use that club as a holding club, but he's also played in the number 10 as well. But predominantly for Girona, where he had his best numbers, was on the left wing. But he can also play both wings. Obviously, City had him on the right wing, and how Pep uses his wingers more like, crossing the ball as opposed to goal scoring. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the option. I think that might answer your question, which is more of a priority. Is it the left wing? Ideally you want both, innit? But
it's just because we have six wingers on top of saying, so can one of them be makeshift to be a number 10 until Kulusevski comes back?
Do you know what it is? I think most fans, and I think Jacob touched on it, we don't have a natural number 10 because Maddison fits the profile that he's like pass first, and all the other 10s we've been linked to have been carry first or dribble first, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's why people don't view some of the players that we've been linked with, or we've tried to get over the line. They're more like dribblers, and we've got loads of dribblers in our team. We need someone with a slightly different profile. Problem with Maddison, those type of 10s, is the physical profile. Do you know what I mean? So what you gain on one side through the passing and on the ball is the physicality of Maddison. Maddison, intensity and work rate in terms of tackling, he does do that, but in terms of the actual physical profile, like compared to like a Gibbs White, Gibbs White got more robust, and do you know what I mean? He's got more of a presence, whereas Maddison will go underneath a challenge. If he touches ankle, he'll go down. He'll go down. Whether he's injured or not, he's the type of person to kind of like get on a half.
He's very slight and gets bullied off the ball.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Not disrespect. Because people think, you say Maddison can't press. I'm like, no, I'm not saying that.
No. People are ready to go.
In comparison to other players, the physical type,
energy,
not really that kind of. And I think that's the reason why this is my personal opinion, by the way, when Thomas Frank first come in, he identified that he wanted a number 10 straight away, even when Maddison was fit. Mm-hmm. And I think the profile he's looking for is someone that is a lot more physical, but can defend as well as create. Do you understand? So
who do you think? I was just looking at the comments here. What would you boys think of Kobe Mainoo?
I don't think he's a 10 personally, but I think he's a very capable midfielder. I think he's physical.
I think he could do, because he was doing it for England, wasn't he? I was listening to TalkSport earlier, and they were saying some things, and I thought, right, what are Man United doing? Because he was the main guy for us in the Euros. We was in the final, mashing up.
Yeah.
And I watched Fulham United, and I thought to myself, what? They're not going to survive playing this way. No one's really connecting the midfield and the forwards. And then I seen Kobe Mainoo on the bench, and I was like, right, like, if someone said to me, right, like how Orin said about, we went for Eze, then we were going for Gibbs White, that pecking order.
Yeah.
If you get to the point where you ain't getting the ones that you want, I guarantee you, if you go to United and slip £60 million
Mm.
on and say, look, give us Mainu now, they'll bite your hands off for it. Even though I
Yeah, they
think
will.
it's ridiculous for them, I think he'd be a good player because he's not your traditional number 10. He could probably play in a number 8. He could play in number 8 for most teams,
Yeah,
but I don't
I
think
think
he's a
he's an
number
8.
8 for Frank. You know, for Thomas Frank, I think you'll find a lot of number 8s are number 10s for him. Like Thomas Frank will be looking at Lucas Bergvall and going, "You're a number 10, mate." So I think Maino fits in that mould, but again, it'll probably divide the fan base because a lot of people would say, "Is Mainu really worth 60 million?" But I think if Thomas Frank can get a tune out of that guy, I don't understand how Man United ain't even playing him.
I think with Mainu, my opinion is that he needs to work on, like, he lacks the athleticism, in my opinion. But in terms of actual footballing ability, no doubt,
Possibly, yeah.
he's got that. Do you understand?
Do you think?
Go on.
Because who were talking about it? I think it was Gary Neville. Has football, is it changed to being more old school, like physical now? You know, like you
Yeah,
had,
yeah.
you had
Changed,
players
yeah.
like Hazard and stuff who were flashy and dribbling, but
Mm.
has football changed to being more physical and not as much dribbling? Because there's like you couldn't really, who would you say the top dribblers like Morgan Gibbs White as a
Do you know what's interesting point? Because I look at Verts, yeah, and I
yeah
see him as a technical footballer, but
hmm
at the moment, like,
He's getting
I think
swallowed up, isn't he?
I think he changes the dynamic of Liverpool completely. I'm gonna
hmm
save that for tomorrow anyway on my rivals. But I'm just looking at, like, for example, we've been linked with Morgan Rogers, right? Another Morgan. So
yeah apparently so
but he's a lot more physical, and he's
yeah
a dribbler. And even when you said Hazard was still physical, like
yes
he
yeah
would
yes
pound
yeah
for players, like you couldn't knock
yeah
him off the ball. So he was still that lower body strength. He had that. Do you know what I'm saying?
hmm
So I
yeah
think when Thomas Frank's looking at players, that's what he's looking for. Someone that's
physical
athletically physical, because he plays more direct football. So the goals that we scored against Man City was either aggressive pressing or balls over the top. Do you know what I'm saying? He wasn't afraid to do short passes at time at the back, but then he can switch it up. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He can do the long route as well.
yeah
Whereas I think under the previous coach, we had this particular style and we were only going to play a particular way. No disrespect to, what I'm saying.
no
But
you're right.
I just think
That's
that
what got him
the
sacked.
two differences between the two coaches, in my opinion, and I think that's the reason why he's looking for more runners, more physicality, and he's looking for players like a Sarr, but has more of an output. And I said to myself, if Sarr's going to be like that guy this season, he has to improve his output. Has to.
Do you know what
To.
it is though? It's like what Michael Owen said. What you're. I'm going to add to what you say.
Mm.
Realistically, Michael Owen said nowadays, if you're an athlete, you're halfway to being a footballer. Like if you
Yeah,
can run and you're strong, all
yeah,
you need to be able to do, especially in midfield, is run around and make tackles, and everyone goes well. So you look at
yeah. It's
you look
true.
Mhm.
at Moises Caicedo, for instance. Yeah,
Yeah,
when it comes to running around, breaking the attacks up, mate, he's probably
mm.
the best in the league.
Yeah,
Would,
yeah,
would
yeah.
would he be playing in the Premier League in the days of like Hazard or even when you had Beckham and all these guys? Like if you were
Mm.
just somebody that running around making tackles, you probably played in the Championship because that's what they were all doing back in the 90s and 2000s. Now you're getting that
Mm.
mould of player. You're looking at Pap Sarr. Pap
Yeah,
Sarr probably wouldn't even get into the Tottenham team under Harry Redknapp.
Yeah.
mm.
But
Yeah,
now
yeah,
it's like Pap Sarr, if we ain't careful, they could easily be a Real Madrid coming in for a Pap Sarr.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? And he's not going to get the assist. He's not going to get that many goals. But
Yeah.
if everybody's pressing, he's one of the best at the minute.
I think Thomas Frank, hot take, will develop Sarr, and I think we're starting to see it
Yeah.
already. And you see, like, when if Pep Sarr was at Brighton, people would be waxing lyrical about him because
Yeah,
Brighton
yeah,
are
yeah.
known to find those gems and develop them very well. And I can just see a player like him, like you said, Caicedo level, where he's able to win the ball high up. And then if he can get that final piece in terms of scoring goals and his weight of pass, I think that's what he needs to sort out. If he can just, home in on that game, in that part, then yeah, you're right, bro. Like,
The thing
Mhm.
is, he has it because against Burnley, he set up the Brendan Johnson goal, didn't he? With
yeah, he
that
did.
pass.
Yeah. He
Mhm.
did. He
He
did. He did.
should have got an opportunity when Brendan Johnson cut in.
Yeah.
What Sarr brings is energy. Like he's up and down that pitch. But at the same time, I could see him getting rested as well, because last season he started off this way and then he faded because
That's
he's
the
he's
thing.
still developing and stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
But as I said, I do believe that, listening to Frank, yes, he wants a number 10. We all know that. But he is looking at the players he has and how can he improve the players he has, not the players that potentially come in. And I do think that's why, again, like I understand, it can't be always got a Premiership ready player, but I think in this circumstances, Spurs need that. Not only a Premiership player, but a player who can also play in the Champions League for big pressure. And it's not just like, to me, when it comes to experience, like Polini is a perfect example. At Fulham, he got 26 bookings. I mean, he was sliding all over the place, making good tackles. But watching him against Man City, and I particularly paid attention to him, not one, long bust and slide tackle. He knew where to be. And I believe that at 30 years old, he's had the experience to know, right, I'm not going to throw myself on the ground. I'm going to make blocks. I'm going to stay on my feet as long as possible, or I'm going to lean into the player and just enough not to give a free kick away, but to unstable him. And I think that's what I talk about experience as such, knowing where to be and how to be. And I think that's what Spurs need to invest more in players with a good football IQ.
Yeah, you're right. I'll just go back to the Sarr point, because we do realise that we're going to be missing Pap Sarr because he's going to be in the African Cup of Nations. So coming back to my point of the whole 10 situation, we're going to be missing from at least 7 weeks. Luckily, it's around that Christmas period. I think we get a small break. But even so, a player of that importance at the moment, the way he's playing, if he does keep performing to that level, how he started off in pre-season to where he's now in the first 2 games, we're going to need another player. And I think that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Bergvall gets played against Bournemouth to help with that kind of cover. Because remember, people weren't screaming about Pap Sarr, they were screaming about Bergvall, how good he was. Do you know what I mean? And he started off like the slow out of the two. But we do have to remember that Bergvall was coming off the back of an injury. And so in pre-season, he was just trying to find his feet again. And if Bergvall can get to that level where people were rating him, because they were saying on the ball is a lot more culture than a Pap Sarr, he still has a lot of legs as well, a lot of physicality. Can he be the one that kind of negates the Sarr move? Or does that number 10 that we bring in, as I said before, does that kind of push Bergvall down the pecking order?
That's the thing. It's a wonderful dilemma if it happens either or. Like, because again, I know I didn't watch the Burnley match. Again, that's another reason I didn't come on, because I like to come on after watching the full match. But how did Archie Gray do? Apparently, was he good at the position he played?
Decent. He was decent. What it is, is that he did what he was supposed to do. But with Archie Gray, I do feel that he needs to go out on loan somewhere, just because I don't know what he is. In midfield he does okay, but it's like I feel that he'll get pushed off the ball, like we talk about Maddison, but he's playing in that number 6 role. Let's say you can't push him into a number 8, because I don't think he's got that dynamism. We've all seen that he chipped in defence, but that's not really his position. So I just think it's very similar to what happened with Phil Jones at Man United. Remember, like Phil Jones, everyone was talking about this guy being the next John Terry. Fergie brought him in and played him left back, right back, centre mid. Then he would be out the squad for ages. Then it got to the point where everyone was like, "What is your actual position?" And then because of the injuries and people being bought in, all of a sudden it was like, "Well, we've got this guy. We kind of know he's a good player. There's a player in there. Don't get it twisted." But I don't think I mean, he's going to be a Premier League player, but I just think he needs to go somewhere and someone take him on.
But Archie Gray never played on the weekend.
The what?
Archie Gray never came on the weekend.
No. That's what I'm saying. So if it's like, I don't. The thing is, I don't mind him playing in those games, because, like I said before, if we do have an injury crisis and we're not going to go into the market this week. Thomas Frank, like Orin said, is going to have to not only work with the squad that we see, but he's going to have to be looking at a couple of youngsters on the cusp and going, well, when we're playing our Carling Cup games and our FA Cup games, we're prioritising, say, a Champions League vital win or Premier League, we're still in the top 4 and we're pushing, we're 4 points off Liverpool or something like that in Christmas, we're going to have to look at the youngsters that we've got in our development program and go, you might have to play in the FA Cup. You might have to do a stint in the Carling Cup, because we're playing Plymouth or something like that. Now, there's no point in just chucking them in there. We've got to be able to give these players chances. So if you're giving your Archie Grays the chances in the Premier League, then we would kind of say, you'll get your minutes in the FA Cup and the domestic cups. And if we're playing at home against relatively easy position, we'll ease you in because you'll be playing alongside a Polina, alongside a Bentancur, and we'll ease you in. And then if we're not going to send him out on loan, which I think he needs, but we're going to keep him in, eventually we'll do a job. What's happened here?
Oren, your favourite guy, man.
He's a fucking idiot. How does he exist?
This is what I hate, man. Tottenham have made calls to understand the situation of Lucas. Don't make let's say that's the truth. If that's the truth,
but come on,
that's
it's not. That's from Fabrizio.
The only thing you can do is
you know what happened? West Ham was where we called them and here, Fab, we're going to give you $5,000 if you can just say this to stir up fucking some. Because West Ham are not going to sell a player, 2 players to Spurs. That's not going to happen.
No chance. Unless we stumped up 90 mil, then they might go, well, there's 2.
Yeah, and it's basically Fabrizio going, they've made calls knowing that the Spurs Express will pick up on his bullshit and spread it. This is what I'm talking about right here. Because only recently Spurs were linked to Robert from the same page. So it's like, I think the X and all this malarkey is what gets Spurs fans really pissed. Like,
it's
emotional.
True, yeah.
It's this player. Oh, it's this player. And you're like, who Spurs are going to sign? And then if the fans look at the player and go, yes, they go to YouTube, watch the highlights and go, yes, that's the player we need. We need that. We need to get that. Doesn't happen. Fuck Daniel Levy. He's a dick. He did this. He did that. I'm like, were Spurs ever in the mood for him? Why? Because of Fabrizio fucking... He's just a shit talker. I don't know how he's made it. Like...
This is what I'm saying. Like, he did a video. Again, I don't want to talk too tough.
What he does, you know what he does.
Wait a minute. People are acting like people didn't love the Here We Goes, right? Like,
no,
used to.
I just think it's
Here We Go was massive. Here We Go was massive. People used to say, "Right, once you get the
not
Here
for
We
me."
Go,
The
player is pretty much done, isn't it? But obviously, we've been stung recently, so I think that's the reason why we're.
Sure, he did it with Morgan. The thing is, though, you know what? He never gets called on it. He did it with Morgan Gibbs White. He did it with Eze. Here we go. Then he changed the whole narrative. Here we go. He just spreads shit. He doesn't have any sources. He just sits there and says, I'm bored. I've had a wank. What can I do? Let's make up some shit. I don't know.
You're right, because if you look at that, he says, like, when you read it, he says, they have made calls to understand the situation. He's a player appreciated by the club. What is it? Well, obviously.
All right, wait. All right, let's, for example, say that Romano.
Speak the obvious, man. I could have done that for you.
All right, but let's for a second assume that Romano is genuine and he's not trying to make money off Spurs tears, and this is actually because this could be true. I know it can't. I know you guys don't think it is. It's a load of rubbish, and we shouldn't get drawn out by all these fake rumors, isn't it?
But that's how you get sucked in. Because when you start,
Ash, tomorrow it's gonna fucking rain.
No, but
it's gonna rain tomorrow in London. In fact, it's gonna be a flood.
I wouldn't be a YouTuber if I didn't
right? Okay, it's gonna rain. No, if it doesn't happen, hey, the weather changed. The weather changed.
Maybe I'm the problem, but I just want to create a debate. I just want to create a question. I just want to create a question. I'm saying, look, what if I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying I don't believe it. But I'm just throwing it out there. What if it is true and the club, would you think the club are panicking, running around, or do you think this is a part of the data analytics, what Frank wants, and the club are desperately trying to find an opportunity in the market and Pochettino's come up?
I think, right. I think no matter what Spurs do from here on in, it's going to be a desperate buy. It's going to be played as a desperate buy. It's going to be, that's a desperate buy because they didn't get the 2 players, no matter who they sign. Even Savinho is considered a desperate buy. All of us, so
Why is he considered? Because we've been with him. We've been looking at him all summer, no? Or
It's a
no? You
narrative.
think that's a lie as well?
Yeah,
It's all amazing. You can't
it's a
tell what's
narrative.
real, what's not. Like,
No, I
is it
get
all?
you. It's just a narrative. It's the buzzwords, the trigger words. You know, it's just desperate buy. 80 million, 60 million, 90 million. Why don't they go for Rodrigo? Sure, Rodrigo asked his geezer to leave. Now he's staying at Real Madrid. So it's like, what is happening? You know?
All right.
It does smell like desperate, but at the same time, remember what we were just talking about the number 10 that fits the mould and needs a physicality. Now, if you've got this guy, he's got all of that, but we saw the goal that he scored against Chelsea, and he does get a lot of goals and assists. So if he's desperate, cool. But then again, if it fits the DNA of Thomas Frank, and you're looking at everyone, including Paqueta, we should have gone to West Ham and said, right, here you go, 120, we'll have both of them.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously that wasn't the thing. That wasn't the case until now.
Mind you, we were getting allegations, wasn't he, of gambling and stuff, so we wouldn't be able to do it, because at the time he still was a question as to whether he was going to get banned and stuff.
If Ali Gold comes out, says it, does it change perspective of this actual rumour? If Ali Gold comes out tomorrow...
Honestly, the only person in this whole world that can come to me and say Paqueta is going to West Ham is my mum, because my mum don't know nothing about football, and if she's seen it on the telly, then it's probably happened. My mum on Twitter, man. Like, my mum went on Twitter, showing on social media. So if she goes, "Oh, Jacob, you know what? Who's this guy from West Ham that you're getting? Lucas Paqueta." Then I'll be like, right, it's happening then, because mum's seen that.
Legit. So basically, it's going to be it's 69 million they've offered. So basically, like, if you look at the transfer, it's been 68 million for Eze, 69 million for Savinho.
Right.
It's like always 69. It's just, right, what player is also worth 69 million?
Wait. Well, all right. So if Spurs offer...
If it's true.
If Spurs offer 60 million, do you think
69, sorry, 69 million, sorry, they've offered.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but if Spurs offer 60 million, do you think that deal gets done? Because West Ham don't have a lot of money. 60 million.
Did you say we put an offer in for him?
No, I'm not saying. Hypothetical.
Yeah, I think because West Ham haven't got a replacement, and because the fans are really turning on them, I think if you go to West Ham and go, look, take it or leave it, 80 mil, they're taking that, man.
80 mil, that's a lot of money, bro.
That's a lot.
Yeah. My money, though.
Come on, man. Like West Ham, we don't really do West Ham. Like, you know, West
Ham.
I
would rather get Alvarez for that money. You know, that the one that used to play for Man City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's not going to leave an Atletico. He loves the Spanish boys and that, innit? Like, all Argentinians.
Apparently he's not happy, but obviously don't read everything you believe. But I'm just saying, I would, with 80 million, I'm saying I'm throwing it either on Morgan Rogers or I'm throwing it on Alvarez.
That's the thing, though. Like,
Paqueta, for me, output-wise, isn't the levels, if that makes sense. Like, he's not scoring enough goals for me in the league. Unless Frank reckons he could do something with him. I do like Paqueta on the ball. He's very, like Menu, on the ball. Mwah, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of actual output for a number 10, in terms of goals and creativity, I think there's work to be done that Frank's got to have to put in. Because if I'm buying an £80 million player, I want 80 million output. I'm just saying. That's just
no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's the thing is, like, there's more chance that Spurs get Morgan Rogers than this guy. Because Aston Villa needs the money. They need the money more than West Ham.
There's more chance of Spurs getting Brendan Rodgers.
If he can still do a shift. Nah, it's going to be exciting. And you know what? I get the frustration from fans, but fuck it. You know, like, I remember, like, the last deal signings. Bring back the excitement of that. If Spurs was to sign a player in the last deadline day,
I would love that.
But this is what I was asking at the beginning. Do you think Levy does a last minute Houdini and pulls one out the bag? But is it a risk if he does that tactic? Because it used to work back in the day. Do we hold out for example, Xavi Simons? He's that type of like player people get excited for, and. Or just a Morgan Rogers, for example. Last minute, deadline day, he gets Morgan Rogers and a Savinho. But at the other side of it, he could they could both reject us and we end up with nothing, and then eggs are all on Levy's face? Or do you think Levy's untouchable at this point?
No,
Go on, you go, Owen.
I don't think Levy. I think Levy. What's been said about him is he's a hard negotiator.
Yeah.
The thing is, when I look at that, I look at it goes right, but a negotiator have to negotiate with a negotiator. So they're both playing hardball. Both the chairmen are playing hardball. They're both trying to get the best price. And so therefore, I think the last minute deals isn't something that is always wanted, but it might work in the favor of, right, it's the last minute, you can make this money, take it or leave it. And clubs take it, either take it or they can leave it. But I just think that Spurs, between now and the first, Spurs will try to get a good number 10 in, and one that has to fit. Because we just had this whole conversation about Sar being dropped or, replacements and thing. It's kind of like, I think Daniel Levy does get more stick than he's supposed to, but I can understand it. I won't defend it. I won't go, you shouldn't. I completely understand it. Especially coming out and say we want to win the Champions League, and I'm like, man, just fuck up. Just buy the players. That's what the fans want. If you're going to say buy the players, then come out and say it. Come out and say it after the transfer is successful and say, I bought players because I want to do this. I just think that, whatever happens between now and the transfer is going to be interesting. And as a Spurs fan, I would like Spurs to maybe get a number 10 in. I prefer a winger, personally, but I'm not thinking about it personally.
You prefer Savinho as the marquee, I
don't think it's a mark. Yeah, maybe. I'm not even sold on him. I think, what if he comes, he's Brazilian, it is the World Cup. All know what the Brazilians are like. They like the World Cup, and then afterwards, they start thinking about birthday parties or fucking,
parties.
Well,
sure,
wasn't it? No, but what I mean is Ronaldinho had a thing. One of the Brazilian players had a thing in his contract where he would attend the Brazilian festival.
Yeah, that's different. Festivals and block parties and just parties.
Hey, it's Brazilian. They like to party. No matter what. A birthday party is a festival to Brazilians. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? Didn't Neymar leave?
Birthday parties. That's not allowed. Oh, that's mad.
Didn't Neymar leave? No, not their birthday parties, like their friends. But anyway, I'm going on the topic here.
No, I know what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's a little bit of excitement. And personally, I think a left winger would a good, because I don't think Brendan Johnson should play there because he's a striker. But at the same time, for the club, and so the fans can just not protest and boo.
But do you think on that protest thing, on that point, let me just stay with that. Do you think the protests are rattling the chairman and the club?
No way.
You don't think they are?
No.
You don't think
they're bringing a bad image?
Ash, would they do that to you? So, for me, if I'm Daniel, if I'm Jacob,
and
I'm chairman of Tottenham, I promise you, if the owner is paying me money, which is giving me and my family generational wealth, and you've got, I don't know, 40,000 people saying we want Jacob out, and then I look outside the stadium and there's 300 people and a couple of dogs. Do you think I'm bothered?
but Jacob, you've got enough money. You've got enough money now to do whatever you want. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have to do it for the money. You're not doing it for the money no more.
Yeah, but it depends on what person you are.
You're a millionaire now, so now doesn't it become about legacy and because when I listen to the overlap, I feel like he wants to leave his mark because he said, the fans will appreciate me when I'm gone. Do you understand? So I feel like he's not doing it for quote unquote money, that was the whole narrative, he's just doing it for the money. I think he really wants to leave his mark as a chairman that was able to get things over the line, and he was the guy that helped us get cups. That's the reason why he hasn't left, because I thought originally Levy said, I don't know what statement it was, but originally I thought once he gets the club Champions League football, that's it, his job done. That was his remit, get the club Champions League competing, and after he's done that, but now I feel like he's hanging around for more because he wants to see, he keeps getting hit over the head, we don't win nothing under this owner. Do you know what I mean? Finally gets the taste of the cup, and then now he's come out and said, we're going to be winning Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, red tear. Do you understand? So that's what I think him personally,
I
like with
hear
the
you, yeah.
protest, and the man saying, get him out. He will never be successful. Like he's definitely hearing it. He's definitely knows, man, saying as long
But
as
them 300
Levy's
people
there,
out
he's
there
not going to win nothing.
protesting,
And he wants to prove everyone wrong, innit? Because
you know, yeah, do you want it? Yeah, I get it, but at the same time, them 300 people outside protesting, I've got a few of my friends that go to it, and they're like, yeah, the protest was strong, bro. And I'm like, all right, cool. So how was the game? And they're like, yeah, it was good, man. So I'm like, right, so you protest about Daniel Levy, like, yeah. But you paid £80 for a ticket, yeah. Levy's laughing at you.
No.
Leave you out, and then you've given him his money.
That's not. Let me say it again. I don't think it's about the money for Levy. So let me get that clear.
Really?
Innit? I don't. You think he's in the job for the money? Well, all right.
Here's the thing.
So you think he's staying there for the bonuses? And when he gets the bonus, he's gonna stay like, bonus.
Yeah.
Why would I leave? Why would I leave such a cushy job? He's like 60 plus. Do you know what I'm saying? He could easily retire.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, exactly. So exactly, if he's going to retire soon, I'm thinking. So imagine if you're in your job, whatever you do for work. I'm not going to ask you that because that's you. But imagine if you're 60 and you're on 100 bags a year, you're making all your money.
Barbados. I'm going Bahamas.
This is what I'm saying. So you've got your money. You've got your money. You're nice like your kids. You've got a beautiful wife. You've got everything that you want. Yeah. But they say to you,
got money
for the next 5 years. Before your retirement, you hit that target. It's going to be 200 grand a year. Are you going to tell me, nah, so I've got enough money?
You're forever chasing that never ending. It's like you're forever chasing that never ending. It never ends. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I
with your money. But if you're,
I personally think the reason why he did the stadium was for legacy, innit? Like that was a game changer, and it's going to help Spurs to compete with the big boys, innit, financially. So he's basically saying, look, I've changed the face of football, the face of the Premier League. Like these Man City youths, they're cheating, 115 charges, blah blah blah, oil money, He said a lot in overlap. He said a lot, and I was like, shut up, because the same people you're criticizing, you want their players. Don't make no sense. You know what I mean? But let me move past that. That's the reason why I think he wants to stick around. He wants to stick around because he can say, I brought Spurs cups and glory in it. People said I was only there for the money. I proved them wrong. This is why I'm saying it. Do you know what I mean? Or you say something. Go on. I don't know. Where do you sit on this?
It's Twitter.
Get ready, Thomas. Get ready.
I'm always on X right now, like looking at players. Like,
no. Get ready. Comments. I don't think Daniel Levy was ever in it for the money. I think he's a chairman, and I read I cannot find this article. It was written. He was interviewed when ENIC first bought Spurs, and I cannot find it. I've looked and looked and looked. I think it's lost in the history. But he talks about it, and he says, and this I know is real. I'm not making it up, because he said, first of all and foremost, we're ENIC. We're not here to put money into the club, and we're not here to take money out of the club. What we're going to do, is that another player that been linked off? How many fucking...
Fabrizio. Fabrizio's on fire tonight. Jeez.
Here, someone call that man a prostitute so he can get some fucking relief or something.
So when he says
prostitute be related to Tottenham at this moment.
But the thing is, though, boys, if you asked me a question about Semenyo, I could have told you that now. It's difficult. Like, come on, I'm gonna tell you that now. You could have woke me up in the morning, 4 o'clock. Go, hey Jay, you got a minute? Yeah, what's up? What do you reckon on Semenyo? Do you reckon it's gonna be difficult? Yeah, it's gonna be difficult, man.
Hate the player, hate the game. Carry on, Orange. Carry on.
Man.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. So basically, he said that he was a Spurs fan. He wasn't an ultra Spurs fan, but he's a Spurs fan. He went to White Hart Lane with his dad. And his disappointment was like walking through and seeing all degraded. And his idea with the whole Spurs thing was to build it from the ground up. Better training facilities, better grounds. And that's why when he pisses people off, he says Spurs have been successful, because when he came in along with ENIC, their job was to build Spurs to what they are today. Better stadium, better. And now the second step, because I think did I read somewhere that Spurs were about to invest, ENIC was about to invest more money? Like 200 million again. I don't know if that was true or not, but
who knows, bro? Who knows?
So basically, what he's done, he's accomplished the training facilities is the club. and the football stadium, one of the best. Now the next step, and what Angie winning the league or the Europa League helped, was now putting trophies into that cabinet. And I think that's what he wants to stay on for. To like the Premier, because I think against Gary Neville he says, I don't expect Frank to win trophies in the first season, but he's going to be. And in truth, a lot of people have been saying like he doesn't care about trophies. But to me, a chairman doesn't win trophies, it's the manager.
Yeah.
And yes, he sacked Jose Mourinho before the League Cup, blah. We get it. But that trophy wasn't going to get Spurs elevated. It wasn't going to get them in the Champions League. It wasn't going to get them anywhere. And they'd won a cup before. So, yeah. I don't know who that is, but yeah. So basically, the way I look at it, it's like I don't think Daniel Levy's was never in it for the money. I think he does genuinely wants to be a chairman that when people look back at him, it's like he got Spurs from a decrepit White Hart Lane to one of the best stadiums in the league without winning any trophies, by the way. If Spurs were winning trophies and they did that, then that would have been easier. He's done it the hard way. And then, like, because I said it last season, that man must have balls of fucking steel to sit there and listen to over 30 or 40,000 people boo him, chant, and then still come back.
Just on the Orange, sorry to cut you, just on that,
Yeah,
do you think that Levy's going to go to the home game against Bournemouth if he hasn't signed anyone? And there's a planned protest happening as we talk now.
Here,
Spurs are organising protests.
One thing about Daniel Levy, if you like him or you don't like him, you gotta respect that fucker will show his face. He will come on, he will show his face. He'll sit there, he'll get booed, right? He might not come to the protesters, but he will show. He doesn't tend to hide away from anything.
Yeah, but would you say you got balls of steel, and I get you. I would have balls of steel with that amount of money in my account.
Right, but money, but like Ash says,
£1 million, I'll turn up and they can say,
Ash says,
I'll be there, man.
But like Ash says, right, he doesn't need to be there. He could be a chairman who goes off and say, right, he could have retired. He could have easily said, you know what, we've won the European League. People are going to like me for like 5 minutes. I'm going to go because I am not going to be fucking fuck.
But my thing is, don't you think it's a bit of arrogance? So it's like for me, there's people that are a little bit.
I like that.
Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like imagine me, yeah. I'm sitting. I've got all this money. I know there's going to be a protest. There's going to be all this year, but I'm sitting there with my missus in the bath, going, "God, we'll go in a minute." And I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette. She's like, "Why are you so calm?" Them lot are crying about it, but they're going to bring me another 5 mil. Come, man. Smoking my cigarette. Everybody is bringing me money.
Yeah, but I get that. But you have to remember. But you have to remember that what that protest does is bring a bad image to Spurs because that's what Sky Sports, Twitter, and everything focuses on. The bad image.
But my thing is,
what
if it does the opposite though? What if it actually pushes him to do the deals to kind of prove them wrong because of what Jacob's saying? Arrogant to say, look, see, I did it. I delivered. When you don't think I didn't be able to deliver, I still delivered. I still brought you. Like you guys saying, it's all about the money, but I spent 300 million or I spent 200 million
in that
window alone, and
I think Daniel Levy deep down knows that no matter what he does, there's a certain portion of fans, like what do you call that guy, Alex Liam George? They have so much dislike for him that they will always dislike him until he leaves that club. Even after he leaves that club, they'll probably still dislike him. They'll always hate him. No matter what Daniel Levy does. Daniel Levy could have gone out and spent 500 million on players, top players. And people like Alex Liam George will just say, oh, that ball cunt, he waited this long, he's doing this. Even, it. So no matter what he does, he's going to be hated by the anti-Levy fans. He might bring in, say it does a deal, like you said, and brings in Savini and everyone else. By January, there'll probably be another protest. Yeah. There'll be another protest. It'll be like.
When you say 500 million,
wait.
If Levy spends that, he shuts everybody up. Like if you put it this way, I'm always Levy out, yeah. But I promise you, if it got to this window and we did what Liverpool did, so we didn't maybe not get the players, but we spent that money, and I'm thinking, right, this is nuts. All the players that I was hoping for, we're getting, and then it got to the point where we finished outside the top 4, but we played good football. But we spent a load of money, and everyone's thinking Tottenham are going to be a problem. I know every video I do, I say Nick out, Levy out. But I know I would be the first to make a video and go, fair play. You know what? You've listened to the fans. You've collected all this money. The protests are working. Cool. Because let's say you are right, or the people that like Levy, let's say, or respect him fully. If it gets to the point where he goes and spends 400 million, and then we bring in a Ancelotti, but then we don't win the league, then straight away it gets to the point where, if I'm honest, I'll go, you know what, maybe Daniel Levy was right, because the model that he was working with was he's gone the total opposite way, and we still haven't won anything, and we've just finished in the top 4. We've finished top 5. So I'd just sit there and go, all right, now Daniel Levy's tried both things. Daniel, do what you need to do. At the minute, it's getting to the point where he's only going one way, and in the round, it's not working. So the only reason why people like your man says Levy out, is because he's only trying one way and it's not working. Spend 500 million or whatever it is. Splash the cash in positions that we all need. We all look at a squad, and no Spurs fan can be happy with unhappy with the squad. If that happens and we finished 3rd, and it looked like the team are bedding well, we just missed out on a few things, and then Daniel Levy can hold his hands up and go, you know what, all the Spurs fans were right. But if he spends all that money and we bring the right manager in, we've got the right squad, and we finish in the same positions that we've always finished, then I'll say, right, Daniel Levy, you know what, run the club the way you want to do it, because either way, we're getting the same result.
Yeah,
but you haven't done that before.
Daniel Levy's running the club how he wants to run the club.
That's why we win stuff.
No matter what he does, it's a win-win situation for him. Like that's
how it goes. So when I say he's in it for the money, it's win-win, because ultimately he's not there twiddling his thumbs. He's there getting money.
What I mean is that I'm not saying money. I'm saying like
he's a mafia boss, man.
He gets paid regardless. Like he gets paid regardless by the ENIC Corporation. He gets paid regardless by that, and so therefore, even if Spurs have a bad season, he gets paid. I just think that when it comes, I think Gary Neville said it, and a couple others. He said, when it comes to the business, Daniel Levy's a brilliant chairman, one of the best. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the business side of football,
business is top notch.
But that's what I'm saying. And what fans have to realize is that no matter how much you want to reminisce or go nostalgia, football is a business now. That's what it is. It's a business. Mm-hmm. And again, the long play, I'll try and link it. He did another video about how important revenue is, and he breaks it down. I didn't know how important revenue is, but he was saying, like, and he mentioned Daniel Levy about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and a couple. He said a lot of fans, I can't remember, but like in a way he was saying a lot of Spurs fans don't like Daniel Levy because he's this, but you don't realize just what he's done with the revenue and how much he's created. And he's done this without Tottenham winning a trophy. They've came close, right? But they haven't won a trophy until now. So as a business perspective, and that's why, like, I'm willing to face anyone who calls me a Daniel Levy ball licker or whatever, because when I sit back and I look at the business that when I look at what he's done, if you think about it, right, Chelsea are going to have to invest in a new ground. Man United are going to have to invest in a new ground. Man City will have to invest in a new ground. Spurs are not going to have to do that for a while. And so therefore, a chairman, I've always said, and I said it last season as well, and it proves my point. Angie won Spurs the League Cup, not Daniel Levy. It was Angie who did that, and the players on the pitch.
Europa.
Oh, sorry, Europa Cup. And if Thomas Frank wins a cup, it's going to be Thomas Frank's name on the board. On the trophies, it doesn't have the chairman name on it. It has the manager. It doesn't matter. When I look at Man City and they win all the glory slot, it's Pep who wins the trophies. Yes, the chairman can help as much as possible, sure, but it's the managers. And so therefore, that's what I base it off. The reason why Spurs haven't won trophies is because I personally believe that Poch wasn't good enough in the big games. Simple as that. He had plenty of chances.
Just quickly, just to change the subject real quickly. Are we happy that Bissouma is leaving?
Yes.
And have we got the replacement for Bissouma already, or does he need to be replaced?
No,
It needs to be
gotta replace
replaced. No, because what my thing is, if
Go on.
go on, Karen, go on, Ash, Karen, you Karen.
No. So all right, because this is interesting because I heard Oren say he needs to be replaced, and I was talking to you earlier about like
No, I'm saying he
expectations.
doesn't.
No,
Oh, you're
he's
saying he doesn't?
I'm
He
saying
doesn't
he,
need
Oh, he
replaced. No.
doesn't.
No.
he does, man.
Oh,
Because what my thing is, if you for
go on.
me, I don't really rate Bissouma, but in my mind, if he didn't do all his stupidness of being late to training and all that stuff,
Mm,
if someone said to me, Paulinho, we're going to invest in other areas, Paulinho gets injured, Bissouma comes in. He's not the greatest player, but he proved in the Europa League that if he just gets, if Thomas Frank is another one that can get into his head,
mm,
maybe he could be that number 6 that we need for 2 of them in case Paulinho gets injured. Whereas
mm,
if Paulinho gets injured now, all of a sudden we haven't got a ball winner. So if we're going to get rid of Bissouma, which I agree with, we need another one, another ball winner, because there's going to be some games where you need 2 ball winners in there with Papsar
mm,
because we're up against the Kosh. So if you've only got one number 6, which Orin is right in saying we
mm,
needed, you
yeah.
get rid of Paulinho, it's back to playing Bergvall in there.
Mm,
Right, but that's the thing. Bissouma, for me, has been a major letdown, mentally and physically. He's been a major letdown. Like, he started so great with Angie, and then he just faded and dropped. And it made me realize maybe that's why. Because remember when he was bought by Conte, it was like, why isn't he playing? And I think Conte looked at him and went, nah, I know what you're
You're
like.
too many
You know what I
balloons,
mean?
mate.
And it's like, it's kind of like, I would rather have a player like Bergville who's going to try and commit, or Gray who's going to try and commit, than Bissouma who's going to come in, play one good game, and then do something stupid and get suspended, or not give it at all. And I think Bissouma, when he played the whole coming to training late, I think that was his way of getting a move. I think when he won, that was his way of going, I'm done. I want to get a move. I'm not going to ask for one, but I can do something silly to get me one. I think he wanted to go.
and
I
so
think
you don't think we need to replace him?
not right now, no. Like, maybe eventually, yes, but not right now. Because he isn't playing it's not like he was sitting on the bench. Even last season, he was injured more than he played, and Spurs found a way.
But I think for instance, when we played PSG, for instance, if he'd turned up to training on
On
time,
time. Mm-hmm.
he would have been brought on instead of Archie
But
Gray.
like, yes,
If he comes on, put it this way, I know it's hypothetical, but
Mm,
imagine we played the way we did against PSG. He goes
mm.
2-1.
Valid point.
He brings off the guys off. He brings the guys off, and Bissouma comes on. He has a
yep,
little word with him, puts his arm around him. Bissouma keeps it trill, and we win the Super Cup. Bissouma's part of the squad, and maybe we're
I
looking at
get that.
Archie Gray, and he
Yes,
goes on loan. That's the fine
but that's
margins we're dealing with, isn't
yeah,
it?
but that's the thing. It's a Super Cup. It's a big game, and
Hmm.
Bissouma still decided to come in late. What does
Yeah,
that tell you?
but that's what I'm saying. So he needs to be replaced because he would have. Because if you switch it round and you say Bissouma behaved himself and turned up on time, he would have been part of the squad. But then there's other players, whether he's part of the squad or not, that are better than him. So for me, whether he was late doing balloons or turned up on time, send him to Galatasaray and bring me someone else. Because we can't be having Archie Gray coming on in big games for Paulinho, because you'll just see the difference. It's the same with, like, I've got a lot. I'm happy to invest time in Tel, but if you're
But if
telling
you,
me that we play
yes,
Kulusevski, I'm not Kulusevski, Kudus, and he's run Bournemouth ragged, he's 2-1, and he's got a slight little knock, and then Tel comes on, I can guarantee you, because we're not pressing from the front with that intensity, it's 2-2.
but that's the thing. It's like against the PSG, Spurs didn't lose that game. I think PSG just upped their level, and it was two individual pieces of brilliance that got them back in the game. And I think
Yeah,
that,
yeah, very true. Yeah,
yeah, so basically, then the Spurs lost the penalties. I understand what you're saying about Gray, but I do think that Gray needs, like, I think the more he gets played in midfield, the better he'll get. Like, he'd start off in defence, and
yeah,
he was
I
a bit
agree. Yeah,
Mm.
he's only nine. Is he?
so
What is he? 19?
Yeah,
19.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that, again, I've said this at the start of the stream, that I believe that Frank will use Bergville and Gray more against lesser teams, League Cup. Give them that, because then that means that I'm not saying that he's going to replace Polina or Bentancur straight away. But I'm saying he knows that, right, look at my squad. I'm going to use these players. I'm going to have faith in these players because, yes, let's be honest, Bergville and Gray, and especially Bergville, like they stepped up last season. I mean, sometimes they were probably the best. So it's a case of you have to have faith in these players. They have played, I mean, for a 19-year-old, and how old is Bergville? Is he 20?
19,
so, yeah.
19, both 19. And like, think
Yeah.
about the mental toughness both those players had for what they went through last season. You know, playing games, getting booed, getting ridiculed constantly, and they kept showing up, playing after every 3 days, playing, you know, and it was high intensity. So that's going to benefit them. And I do think that, yes, eventually maybe. But when I looked at Bissouma, I said, oh man, like, seriously? It's a Super Cup. You could have been on time. Like, even if you thought you were, I think he got upset because Polini was bought, which shows mentality that he's like, well, I'm not going to play anyway, so what's the point? And you don't want that. And so therefore, maybe eventually replace him. But then if you're going to try to replace him now, that brings up even more fucking. I mean, we know what. The whole conversation tonight's been about transfers and how Spurs struggle to get players. So who do you get? Who do you bring in? You've got adequate cover for him. I think Spurs will concentrate on getting probably the 10 players that Fabrizio has said they're going to get. Because there's bound to be another one.
So you
He's
think
on a roll tonight?
So you think Spurs will do nothing? You reckon Spurs will not get a player in
for Bissouma?
What, for Bissouma?
No. I'm talking about in general now. Like,
no, I think Spurs will. Here's the thing.
Yeah, go on.
Why aren't Spurs going to Man City and asking for a loan deal? Surely that would be more beneficial. If Man City doesn't want to sell, they go to Savinho and go like, right, we'll give you 20 million for a loan fee. We'll pay his wages. He won't be able to play against you in any games, but we're still going to have him, and he's on loan. So I'm wondering why they aren't doing that.
I think personally, and it makes logical sense to me, but I think personally they don't want to have that option where they improve Savinho. He does really well, and then he goes back to Man City, and like, we've just lost out on a player when really we can buy a player now. For example, if Semenyo, if they actually have discussed Semenyo, then they'd rather put that Savinho money to a Semenyo and then have him. Remember, he's like 25 years old, but he's more or less prime, and he's Premier League proven, and he's got more output. No, I'm sorry, Semenyo, the Bournemouth player, Ghanaian.
You've just been linked with.
But yeah, that was But again, Semenyo is the same like Lookman, like the same as because again they both play in African Cups of Nations, so there'll be a period where if we broke the record, because that's what the rumors are, that we're going to break the record this season for a transfer. If we were to break it for Semenyo, then we're going to have to go again another 6-7 weeks where we might not have the actually Semenyo, Ghana, sorry,
he's going, mate. I was about to say
he's not going to AFCON. I forgot. My bad. Sorry.
Neither is Kudus. Kudus is going to be there all season.
I'm saying, man. So you got his
little can't lie. Could work.
That's what I'm saying, man. Bring the jollof rice when nice.
Trust me. Hey.
You know what I mean?
Bring some more stew.
Guys,
I'm going to end it here, man. I'm going to end it here.
I was only meant to be.
I'm saying, all right, I'm ending it.
All right, okay, all right. Sorry, cool. Yeah.
You go when I say, okay?
All right. It's your street, right? Gonna call me.
I'm gonna end it, man. It's been a good show. Sorry that I haven't brought up everyone's comments. There were so many of them. I need like a separate person, like a separate PR, just to be in the background, like a little troll or something. Just man. Like big up. Make sure
reach out to Fabrizio.
I'm gonna go watch that video. Yeah, after this, I'm gonna go watch some Fabrizio.
Yeah.
I'm playing, guys. By the way, I'm joking. I'm what?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good rule. Like, let's end it like this and say, look, guys, don't get sucked in by the transfer rumors, please. For your own mental health, take it with a pinch of salt. And as these two gentlemen have kindly said, we only rate the player once he's in a Spurs shirt, and then we can go off that. you understand? Anything else, it's all
And-
for Gazy. You know what I'm saying? But
And,
go
the
on.
most important thing I would say is, like, I know it's difficult, but remember, there's life outside football. Your family, your kids,
Brother, do you know what we call that? We call that copium.
Yep.
Right? It's
See,
like,
I'll say this now, yeah.
Right.
But I'll say this now. But if any of you two or anyone watching, watch my video on Saturday, and we'll see about copium because it just go out the window.
No, I get it.
Yeah, let Spurs lose on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My goodness.
Just breathe.
Jeez.
Take a
Let
pill.
Spurs
Just
lose.
breathe.
And we haven't signed anyone?
I
It's gonna be
know.
very
I know.
interesting times.
That's why I want Spurs to sign someone, just so I don't hear the fucking booze and shit. That's
Because
over.
as much as you're with
I
the
don't want to see
Spurs,
you next
Oren,
Tuesday going, oh, for fuck's sake, my mind is fucked
people
up.
will be, hey, listen, I'll bring you back on the show. People will be like messaging me, listen, look at this
Yeah.
Levy bootlicker.
I will take the burden. Take the burden off you, Ash. Yeah.
Any other final words though? Any other final words?
Nothing,
Make
man.
sure.
Just come on, you Spurs, and
Yeah. That's
if
it.
anybody's watching and you like what I'm saying, I'm going to try and link up with Ash and get him on my channel. So follow my channel on YouTube,
And
Instagram,
Oren as well. Get
all of
Oren
that.
on there, man. Get Oren on there as well. You know
And
what I mean?
Nah, that's too much. That's too much peach shit going on. You don't
I've been on shows. I've been on quite a few shows with Orin before, but I've just disappeared for ages. But now I'm just going to come back with a vengeance. So if you want to watch my videos, watch them, sign up, and I'm going to be getting these two and more people on my show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You
Big
can
up.
you can only find me on this. Oh, unless I'm on the one up on top.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah, so like basically you can only find me in this, and like
Exclusive. Get
Yep.
me.
I always be the grounded Spurs fan who doesn't lose his shit all the time.
All the time.
Just-
All the time. We just, you know what
Nah,
it
I
is?
don't
We need to
lose
get-
my stuff. And hey, listen, the one thing that is the most important is that every single person watching is a Spurs fan and will support Spurs until the end.
Yeah, I'll just add to that.
No
Listen,
matter what.
everyone is allowed to support the club that they love in whatever way they want to. Simple
Yeah.
as that. So
Yeah.
for me, there's no right or wrong, but
as long as
there
it's
is a right
illegal,
and there is
you
a
don't
wrong.
discriminate.
There's no right or wrong, Ash says.
There is a right and there is a wrong. What am I talking about?
Right.
But yeah, man, please make sure you subscribe to
Yeah.
the one up top. You get me? The one up top.
I'm back,
Big
man.
up Jacob. Big up Oren and your damn self. Big up the chat each and every time. Shout out to people watching on the playback as well. The silent listeners, you like me. I like to watch in silence. So I ain't nothing wrong with that, man. But yeah, man. Big up, and love. Make sure you hit the like, the share, and subscribe for this channel. Don't be a hater, man. Spread the love. We are one Spurs family.
And
man.
if you want to see more of me licking Levy's balls, come on, sign up.
Pause, man. Pause.
Ash said just